One day, the young man was sitting in prison when a lady with blonde hair suddenly appeared to him. She extended her hand towards Pian, but he only grabbed it and, curiously, asked who she was. He also asked how she knew him. The girl, blinking in confusion, said she was a fairy, to which the guy looked at her with obvious disbelief. She was surprised at how cold and unwelcoming his reaction was, as if he had not expected the meeting at all. However, 6 years later, the young man approached the fairy and said that he missed her, which left the girl in complete shock. She asked him to wait and suggested that he let go of her hands first, feeling her heart almost jump out of her chest. But Pian objected that he didn't want to, as she would immediately depart for the fairy world. The young lady was perplexed, not understanding what he was talking about. After all, as a child, he didn't believe in fairy tales. The boy admitted that he simply couldn't be honest back then. He explained that she was so beautiful that it was impossible to believe that she was not a fairy, and asked if he was right. The main character cried out in embarrassment, realizing that this was done on purpose, and realized that the guy had changed a lot. One day, the girl noticed pills and a note on the table, which said that the juice had expired, but it was a shame to throw it away so she could drink it. The main character initially thought it was some kind of waste disposal section, but decided, okay, let it be. She had already gotten used to this kind of treatment and didn't think that anything terrible would happen because of expired juice. So she drank the drink, realizing that no one would come back anyway, and was about to go to bed. But when she lay down, her stomach suddenly began to hurt badly, and before she lost consciousness, she felt like she was in a normal night. When she woke up, she found herself in the world from the book. The first emperor of the Barian Empire was an elf with 2 gifts: creation and healing. He fell in love with a human woman, and they had a child. The descendants of the Barians possessed magical abilities. Perhaps due to the mixing with human blood, they were weaker, so the descendants of the dragon Chiron sought to destroy them. To protect his heirs, Pleiada transferred power to the second ruler, who transferred it to the third, and thus the succession was maintained. This has continued until the present day. This system has been in operation for 3,000 years. There are 2 princesses in Barian: Helen, who possesses the magic of the first ruler, and Lyra, who doesn't have a drop of magic, although the girl doesn't know the reason. She turned out to be Lyra. At that moment, one of the women remarked that the girl always acted recklessly, and even felt sorry for her. But there's nothing to be done. She inherited bad genes and is dressed in old rags. The woman asked the girl if she was ashamed, but the main character thought about whether she should say anything in response. One of the ladies said that it was useless, because the girl lived alone in a separate palace, and her hostility was obvious. Another lady remarked that the empress was actually merciful. The woman turned to the children, asking them to take care of Her Majesty's seed and not exclude her from the circle. Someone asked if this was correct, because what would you call someone who had no magic at all? And besides, she doesn't have green eyes, the symbol of the empress's seed. Another lady objected, saying it was rude. This shouldn't have been said in front of Lyra. But the protagonist realized that her facial expression said otherwise. Another woman noted that perhaps the girl doesn't understand, but it's natural to question the world. Her daughter, Odilia, who has an inquisitive nature, will soon become the treasure of the country. The empress suggested dropping the topic of semen, but clarified that the girl was not drinking tea today. It was prepared especially for the lady, so the empress asked if she would like to try it. The girl agreed, but thought with reluctance about what they would serve her this time. Not wanting to drink, she nevertheless drank the cup in one gulp, realizing that there was no turning back. One of the ladies noticed that even the girl's manners did not correspond to her status, and the empress only smiled. She saw the lady making a face, after which a piece of cake flew at the girl. The young man apologized, saying that he wanted to treat her, but miscalculated his strength. The girl still didn't understand anything, since she didn't have any magic. The little girl with pink hair became intrigued. She also wanted to try, but the young man forbade it, and the girl noted that she was also from the royal family. And she can't, like Helen, but the cake still flew at her. The main character thought the cake wasn't meant for that. At this time, the empress turned to Tyrone and Angelina, asking them to be friends. They were brother and sister, and the girl wondered if she was their sister. The empress asked Lyra how much longer she would sit in these clothes, advising her to change. The main character thought with irritation about who caused this. She thanked Letty and asked for permission to leave. As the girl walked on, she let out a cry of annoyance, realizing that everyone thought they could get away with it. Cakes were thrown at her again using magic, and the first ruler, having found out about this, would definitely have scolded them. The girl thought about what would happen if the whole family gathered. It would be a real hellish test. In the book, the feuds looked interesting, but in real life, everything was completely different, and Lyra in the book was originally undead. The girl tried to understand what caused this, remembering how someone was strangling her when she came into this world. Perhaps it was a deliberate induction into eternal sleep, but she didn't know the details. She looked at the table where the ladies sat. Then she began to use her power, and a wind rose above the table. The cake that was standing next to Tyrone fell on him, and the maids screamed, shocked by the suddenness of what happened. Another servant demands that security be called immediately, and the young man cries out that this is simply impossible. He's certain magic is behind it all. Odelia asks her brother to think things through carefully. After all, only Her Majesty and Sister Helen are capable of possessing such powerful magic. The guy continues to ask the girl how she will explain what's happening. Meanwhile, Helen hid in the bushes and realized the moment of reckoning had arrived. She takes a deep breath and begins to use her powers, wondering why someone who doesn't know how to use magic suddenly became one. She understands that she must keep this secret to herself and not share it with anyone. Deciding to take action, Helen sets off to meet Pian. A moment later, she's teleported straight into the prison cells. The girl is struck by the cold around her and creates a lamp to illuminate the space. She notices that the light has become brighter, but understands that it does not quite match the gloomy interior, because the design of the room requires attention. At this moment, the young man rises from the floor, and Helen says that he scared her, wondering if she woke him up herself. She apologizes, explaining that it was simply too dark. The young man responds by claiming that she smells bad. Helen asks if this is true, since she recently went swimming. The guy explains that it's not about the dirt, but the smell of poison. Helen and Pian's meeting in The Dragon and the Empire took place in the ruins of Hayard's house. One of the knights claimed that the entire territory of the ducal house was destroyed, and he was aware of everything. However, there was no longer a living soul in the place. The princess suddenly heard a strange sound. She lifted the stones with her magic and noticed the young man there, asking if he was okay and comforting him to hold on. She was glad she was able to find him and heal him. Pian spent 6 years in captivity. Helen, who saved him, was his light, his savior, and his first love. Her dragon power attracted him, but Pian was not the only one who loved Helen. The black dragon Paris and the blue dragon Daniel desired her. Their passion for Helen gave rise to a conflict between Barian and Chiron, and in the end only Pian remained near the girl. He protected her, and looked only at her until he fell into eternal sleep in an early fight with another dragon. The girl reading the book was furious, not understanding why Pian had to fall into eternal sleep, since he was her favorite character. He was the only heir to the ducal family and a handsome man, so she felt it was unfair that he was not the main character. She swore she would never forgive him. After Pian fell into eternal sleep, the girl abandoned the book and her story began to fade from her memory. However, they did meet, even though he was 6 years younger. He asked if she could hear him, noting the smell of poison. Lyra believes that this is related to a past incident, but assures that everything is fine and she will not fall into eternal sleep. She wants the young man to tell her and show her his wounds. Lyra realizes that she recently healed him, but the wounds have reopened. Even though it's just a book, it's hard to understand how a child could be kept in captivity for 6 years and treated like that. The girl heals his wounds, asking if he has any other pain. The guy asks why she doesn't remove her poison, and Lyra replies that she doesn't know how to do it. He looks at her with displeasure, and Lyra understands that she lied about the fairy and the truth cannot be revealed. She keeps herself under control, and the guy notices that she doesn't know, offering to try. Lyra is surprised that he worries about her, thinking that he is a good boy. The young man becomes embarrassed, and then lies back down, claiming that he doesn't care. Lyra notes that he seems offended, as his character was stronger in the book. She wonders if it has something to do with him being a child now. Lyra places her hand on Pian. She bids him goodnight and leaves. The guy realizes that the girl is treating him like a child. Helen returns and realizes that she is pleased that the young man cares about her. However, she cannot heal herself, even if she really wants to, because tomorrow she will definitely be sick. Now Lyra lay in bed, writhing in unbearable pain, her thoughts oscillating between horror and despair, as if the end were inevitable. She blamed herself for her weakness, considering what was happening abnormal. At that moment, the Empress entered the room, looked at the girl with cold attention, and noticed that she was in pain. The main character tried to appeal to Her Highness, but the woman immediately stated that Lyra would cause a lot of trouble if she fell into eternal sleep too quickly. After these words, the Empress grabbed her by the neck, pressed harder, and said that she should feel all the pain. Lyra stood her ground with difficulty, but still heard the Empress's order to ask the maid for medicine, to which she nodded. When the Empress left, she told Princess Lyra to rest, and a little later the girl received the long-awaited medicine. But even they seemed powerless, and Lyra thought with horror that no one would enter her room again. Then she decided to try to heal herself, and to her surprise, after completing the procedure, she felt much better, because health always comes first. The girl thought that if she could pretend masterfully, she would not have to endure so much torment. She was truly scared, because this woman immediately noticed her deception. Lyra got rid of those who claimed to help her, and plunged into eternal sleep the innocent who stood in her way. From then on, people began to avoid her, but the girl herself believed that it was even better for her. Soon, she got out of bed and decided to at least go to the bathroom to wash away the weight of events. A little later, Lyra was already sitting in the water, enjoying the warmth, and thought that it would be nice to add some flower petals. She did so, but quickly realized that she had gone a bit overboard with the number of them. The girl reasoned that she wouldn't be able to heal herself constantly, since reincarnation was already unrealistic and her magic made everything even more difficult. The sky above her, the taste of the water, and the pain she felt seemed real, but it all felt like a strange dream. Lyra thought about herself and who she really was. Possessing the magic of wind, movement, healing, and creation, she could not understand why she still tolerated bullying. If she had left the Empire, she wouldn't have had to go through all of this, although perhaps she only gained such power after reincarnation. The girl realized that she had already become accustomed to magic, and wondered if even her family regretted her. Overall, she doubted whether the concept of love existed in the imperial family, since Lyra's mother, the 7th princess, had long since fallen into eternal sleep, and her father had not said a word. What kind of regret could there be if no one even showed any interest? And yet, the scene she saw when she got here could have been connected to this. Lyra decided that they were all strangers to her, and that she would not be tormented by guilt. If she stayed here, she would only be tortured, so it was decided to leave. Magic gave her the opportunity to provide for herself, and there would be no problems with money. The only thing that bothered her was pain. At that moment, the boy was looking at the lamp Lyra had created. She noted to herself that he had no taste, and soon used magic again. The girl found herself on one of the towers, took a deep breath, and thought that she had simply stolen something and the security was too weak. Or maybe she's just too strong with magic. Looking at the thing, Lyra admired its beauty, as if it were a true jewel. But then I realized that the time to look at her had passed, and I needed to quickly go to Pian. The girl teleported into the prison and looked around the corner, where she noticed a woman. She screamed at the maid not to give the boy water, calling him an intolerable child. The woman also asked where the lamp came from and threw it on the floor. Lyra realized that she was the one who carried it. The woman screamed in rage that instead of weakening, the boy was blossoming, and someone was definitely looking after him. The maid objected that there was no such person in the house. The woman said that this guy was called the heir, and if a son was born, he would be quickly removed so that the disease would plunge him into eternal sleep. She added that one could bring the body of someone who had already fallen into eternal sleep due to illness. Lyra was shocked by these words, and the maid turned to her mistress in surprise, who only replied that she knew, and said it just like that. But Lyra knew that whoever was helping the boy wouldn't get away with it, and everyone headed back. She peeked around the corner, thinking she would never return there again, and rushed towards Pian. Seeing the boy in bad condition, Lyra immediately picked him up and anxiously checked if everything was okay. The young man sadly reported that the lamp had been taken away and apologized. Lyra exclaimed that the lamp did not matter, since she could create many more. The girl realized that she was stupid, because without frames it would look strange, and continued the treatment. She decided to heal him now, but she understood that if she did this, the woman would come again and punish him. Lyra wondered if the number of injuries had increased because of her intervention. All this happened because she was treating the guy, and because of her, Pain suffered so much. But the young man only hugged Lyra and said that he no longer felt the poison, so he was happy. The girl almost cried, realizing that this could not continue, because he should not have to endure torment because of her. She no longer cared about the assignments for the work, because that woman would no longer be able to offend the guy. After this, Lyra begins to care for Pion and soon offers him an opportunity to escape. The young man asks how this can be accomplished, and then the main character hands him a mysterious artifact. The guy asks what it is, and Lyra asks if he feels anything. He only asks if he should feel anything. Lyra realizes she's come up with 3 escape options for both of them. The first is to simply hide. This method seems the simplest to her, but at the same time it deprives Pion of a future. Then the young man will not be able to inherit the title of Duke. The second plan is to transfer power to Pian. That's why she stole this little thing for him, the heart of a silver dragon. It is needed to strengthen the dragon's power, but Lyra, fearing Chiron's strength, kept it to herself. However, Pion has not yet transformed into a dragon, so the artifact is not yet effective. The third option is to punish the woman by framing her and placing the dragon's heart on her, making her look guilty of theft. When this becomes known, she will certainly not be forgiven so easily, and despite her title of Duchess, punishment will follow. Lyra understands that organizing everything will be difficult, but the scheme works, and the result promises to be worthy. The girl thinks about what will happen to Pion and Helen. In 6 years, they will not be able to meet if she saves him now. Then Lyra turns to the young man and asks what he himself desires. She wonders if he wants to take revenge on the woman, or if he prefers a quiet life in a remote village, or become a knight to a beautiful princess. The guy then wonders why the knight is mentioned right away. The girl explains that she is simply giving examples and let him wish for whatever he wants, because the fairy will make it come true. The young man notes that Lyra, when in doubt, always starts talking about fairies. To which the girl claims that she really is a fairy and thinks to herself how witty this guy is. At this time, the young man says that he wants to go with his mother and see Chiron, but Lyra remembers how that woman said that Pion should fall into eternal sleep, like his mother. She apologizes, explaining that she doesn't know how to bring people back to life. The young man insists that his mother is still alive. She has only been sleeping for a year, and an ordinary person would have fallen into eternal sleep during this time. His mother has dragon blood, so this disease does not threaten her life. Lyra is glad that Piana's mother is alive, and she won't have to come up with complicated plans. The girl decides to wake up his mother, and Pion should be happy in return. The young man is embarrassed, and Lyra asks if he can tell her where her mother is. The guy replies that she's on the 2nd floor, in the farthest room. Lyra nods and decides to take action. As the girl teleports to the bedroom, she notices that the atmosphere is strangely gloomy for the Duchess. She goes inside and sees a woman, admiring her beauty, and she thinks that this is her beloved's mother, and her wife is so wonderful. Why would she cheat on her? Lyra tries to wake her up, but the magic doesn't work. The main character is surprised and asks what is going on, and everyone wishes the woman good morning. Lyra decides to try again, but the woman is still sleeping. She wonders why she doesn't wake up and soon finds herself in her room. Lyra ponders what happened yesterday and how to decipher it. Is her magic really weak? However, the artifact had an effect on Pian, and she completely forgot about the evil woman. After all, she will most likely try to torment Pian again, and yesterday Lyra managed to avoid this. At this time, someone approaches Princess Lyra and informs her that Princess Helen has come to see her. The girl is slightly surprised, and when her sister enters the room, Lyra suddenly remembers the woman who once strangled her and declared that she would not forgive her. Lyra thinks to herself, "Why do I feel like we've met before when this is our first meeting?" The blonde remarks that she looks bad, but the main character replies that everything is actually fine. She receives the medicine, and now she really does feel better, after which she thanks her sister for her concern. The girl complains about how tiring it all is, and if she doesn't want to fall into eternal sleep, then let him never call her sister again. which amazes Lyra. The blonde only advises him to try not to catch her eye, as she irritates him. After this, she leaves, and Lyra is left wondering, what was that all about? This girl came to her herself, and now asks her to avoid meetings. Is it really Helen? Although in appearance, she is similar to the main character. Smart, powerful, ideally suited to the role of ruler. Lyra still doubts, did Helen really have such a character? And is there some kind of trick here? Perhaps this is a consequence of Helen's change in the book after entering into eternal sleep. And since she is alive, these changes are not visible, and Pian will probably become more cunning. But it's too early to think about that now. The main character needs to find a way to wake up his mother. Lyra understands that she cannot be sure of the perfection of magic, but she definitely knows how to heal. The woman's complexion improved, her breathing was restored. But why is she still not waking up? Then Lyra decides that if it's not magic, something else must be the cause. That evening, she teleports to the woman again. He uses magic again, but there is no effect, and Lyra realizes that the situation is the same as yesterday. She definitely won't give up today. Lyra admits she doesn't fully understand the woman's feelings, but she can imagine how painful it must have been for the lady. She can't stop because she has a plan. This woman is torturing her son. A young man is locked in a dungeon, deprived of normal food, and a woman wants him to fall into eternal sleep due to an illness. Lyra knows that her son needs his mother and asks the woman to wake up and come to him. The woman opens her eyes and asks if Pian is okay now. Lyra assures him that he is alive and well, and then asks how the lady herself is feeling. The woman replies that the pain has gone away since yesterday, but she was afraid to open her eyes and see reality. Lyra understands that the magic worked, but the woman just didn't want to wake up. The brunette asks if the lady knows about the dragon engraving, to which she replies that she understands more or less. Judging by the engraving, this is a vow of eternal love, as in the story of Piana and Helen in the book. The woman explains that a dragon can only make such an oath once in its lifetime, and she, as a representative of Chiron, has the same peculiarity. It is natural for her to love one person and live with him her whole life. Lyra notes that the other dragons in the book also devoted all their attention to Helen alone. It's not about dragons. People don't always understand feelings. The heart can cool down in an instant. Sometimes it is impossible to love more than two people, and unrequited feelings destroy hearts. The woman remembers her husband's betrayal and feels the desire to plunge into eternal sleep. And the worst thing is that, despite all the circumstances, she continues to love him. Lyra remembered the book as romantic, but now she understands the gravity of the situation. She tries to calm the lady down, realizing that there is nothing rosy. The brunette apologizes, admitting that she just cried the whole time but she felt better. The woman agrees that Lyra is right. She has something to protect, and she has no right to run away. Following Pian's wishes, she will go with him to Charon. Lyra is delighted with this decision. She thanks Madame Borellian for the decision she made, and the woman admits that she feels nostalgic. The woman asks why Lyra is saving them, and how she learned about their difficult situation. Seeing the girl's magical potential, the woman becomes interested in her origins and parents. Lyra is nervous, but replies that she is a fairy who has come to fulfill any of Pian's wishes. The woman looks at him with disbelief, then says that if she doesn't want to answer, she won't ask anymore. Lyra notes that the son and mother are spitting images of each other, especially in this reaction. The brunette tries to suggest her name, but Lyra is at a loss and doesn't know what to say. The girl suddenly declares urgent business and jumps off the balcony. The woman wonders, who is this child? Soon, Lyra realizes she has successfully returned the item. Madeline woke up, and now Pian was not in any danger, even if she was sleeping. This does not mean at all that she is weak, and if the young man starts training, this will not prevent them from seeing each other as often as before. But he will be able to live a full and happy life, and this is the most important thing, after which the girl understands that it is time to think about how to get out of this situation. The young lady ponders where to go, as she knows nothing about the area, and eventually decides to look for guidebooks and guidebooks. After a little while, she is already looking at the food and cannot help but admire how appetizing everything looks. She also thinks about where to try these dishes and studies the establishments listed. The girl thinks that she could create her own book, because then she wouldn't have to remember everything. She makes a copy of the book and is surprised to find that it really does have all the information. And isn't it incredibly convenient? Suddenly, someone addresses her, saying that she is in the way, after which the young lady quickly apologizes. At the same time, she notices that both girls have green eyes, and wonders if this could mean that they are from the imperial family. She remembers one of them from the tea party, but at the same time wonders if they noticed that she was using magic. At this point, one of the ladies asks why the girl is looking at them like that, because her gaze looks strange and funny. Another claims that Lyra doesn't know the basic rules of conduct in the library, and this causes her problems with others. The main character remembers that Lyra's mother was similar. She tried to poison her sister Helen, and this thought shocks her. She can't believe Lyra's mother would want to poison Helen herself. The book barely mentioned her mother. It is only known that among the 13 princesses, she was the only commoner who enjoyed the emperor's favor. But reflection leads the main character to the idea that perhaps this crime was an attempt to plunge her into eternal sleep. One of the girls confirms this suspicion, recalling that Helen's sister was indeed in danger at the time. Odelia adds that Helen drank what the woman gave her, and wonders how this affected her trust. The main character understands why Helen treated her so rudely back then, but she also realizes that there is no exact evidence of the truth of these girls' words. It's clear to her that something is fishy here, so it's too early to trust their words. One of the girls suggests the other leave, lest Lyra infect everyone with her unpleasant personality. As they leave, the main character is irritated and thinking about how annoying this is, but then someone else turns to her, noticing something strange. Everyone is leaking the same red liquid. They soon forget about this, and she finds this quite unfortunate. She pays close attention to the clothing, atmosphere, and manner of speech of those around her. She soon realizes that the man in front of her is Emperor Christopher de Bariana, and he asks her if she wants him to punish these ladies. The young lady understands that in the story he is not a kind person either, as he became emperor thanks to strengthening ties with the aristocracy. He continues to maintain his status as emperor, but he himself can hardly change anything. All he can do is watch as his beloved woman sinks into eternal sleep. He feels sorry for her, but if he couldn't save even one woman, there's no point in hoping for his help. The girl decides that she doesn't want to drag him into her problems. The emperor notices that she is increasingly reminiscent of her mother, and the main character claims that she really is her daughter. He agrees and asks how her heart is. Lyra replies that it seems to be working and wonders if she ever had heart problems. The man says it's good, and the girl realizes that upon closer inspection, he really is handsome. The guy looks like the spitting image of the elven emperor. He places his hand on the girl's head and advises her to be careful. The main character wonders what he is talking about, and the man takes the book from her. He explains that her power can be dangerous, so she should wait calmly. Her time will come. The main character is perplexed when she realizes whether he really noticed everything or understood it right away, but then comes to the conclusion that now is not the time to look at guidebooks, and she needs to leave immediately. The girl packs her suitcase, takes a book with her, and internally understands that she is ready for the further journey. She doesn't have many things, since she can create a lot herself, but she still decides to check again whether she took everything. She notices a toy whale, admires its beauty, but doesn't understand how it ended up neatly folded in her closet. Suddenly, the girl hears someone's voice claiming that it was she who did it. The main character is shocked, trying to understand what it was, magic or Lyra's memories. The girl decides to take what she heard with her and heads to the dungeon where Pion was held. When she looks into the cage, she realizes that Madeline is already awake, and Pion is not there. She wonders where to find the guy now and turns around to see him nearby. The girl notes that his new outfit suits him very well and asks why he is still here. Pion explains that he was expecting her to appear, after which the main character pats him on the shoulder and admits how good he is. The guy suggests leaving the dungeon, as he is not comfortable being there, and the young lady agrees, suggesting they go for a walk. While in the greenhouse, the girl asks if he is going to go with his mother to Chiron. Lyra realizes that she has ruined the best pairing, but she wants Pian to continue living and tries to avoid meeting Helen. A guy asks a girl to go with him. Surprising her, he tells her that it snows a lot in Chiron, it's beautiful, and there are lots of cute animals. He adds that the locals are friendly, and she'll definitely like it there. The protagonist wonders if he's trying to lure her in. She understands that beauty means cold all year round, that many animals mean just as many demons, and that friendly people mean difficult relationships with strangers. The young lady thanks him for the invitation, but is forced to decline as she herself is planning to leave these places. The guy asks where she is going, to which the girl replies that she is going to the world of fairies. He asks to at least name her, and the main character realizes that she is in a difficult situation. Regular magic requires numbers to move, but dragons can simply say the name of the person they want to get to. This doesn't seem entirely fair to the heroes, as they only need to know the name. Answering the call serves as a promise that they are always happy to meet. The problem is that personal space disappears, and although the girl doesn't mind giving a name, it can be dangerous, and sometimes she can do it unconsciously. She decides not to tell him and asks why it's so important, suggesting he just call her a fairy. He says he's never called her that and doesn't want to. The main character insists that she wants to, and then the young man notes that even sending letters will be impossible, especially to the world of fairies. Lyra asks if he will write letters, and he explains that he can send them to his mother's room, who will bring and collect the letters. The young man is silent, but asks if she will come to him, and the girl smiles. She answers affirmatively, after which the young man says Alice's name. But when there is no reaction, he is surprised. He tries the name Anastasia and many others, and the girl understands that a little more, and he will hit the mark. The young man continues to name names, and the young lady thinks how persistent he is. A little later, the girl comes to Noelle's store, and the employee thanks her for her visit. The woman claims that the product being offered is the soul of a sea witch from Atlantis. The stone sparkles, and the thought flashes through the woman's mind that the thing is so rare that almost no one buys it. But today she is confident that she will sell, because the girl seems to be the one who will take her with the right approach. The protagonist acknowledges the beauty of the piece, but says she already has many other jewels. The woman explains that this is no ordinary jewel. The stone contains the memories of a sea witch. In Atlantis, there is magic that allows one to capture sadness in a stone, getting rid of it, and the sadder the memories, the brighter the stone shines. The girl asks why it is called a memory and not a soul. The woman explains that memories make up the soul, which is probably why the stone was named that way. Lyra understands that this has profound meaning for her as someone reincarnated in another world. The woman adds that if the lady takes the stone today, she'll give it away for less. She shows a few more pieces of jewelry, beautiful, but the soul of the sea witch cannot be compared to any of them. At this moment, the main character hears someone playing the piano and is surprised. The worker notices this and asks if this guy really plays well, adding that he puts her in a good mood. The previous pianist broke his leg, and this young man came as a replacement, but he is already very popular with customers. The main character notes that it is he and decides to acquire the soul of the sea witch. The woman then apologizes and claims that he is not their property, but if she wishes, she can recommend slave traders. Lyra asks what she is talking about because she was talking about the piano, after which the woman asks if this is true, and she thought so because they just have special services for guests. And if she is interested in the piano, then she can show her other musical instruments, after which the young lady claims that she will buy the soul of the sea witch, and a ruby from some mountain or other, and a blue tear too, and if there is something else that they want to sell, then let them do it. After all, she'll buy everything. The woman then thinks how cool this girl is, after which she thanks the lady and claims that she will give her a piano, but the main character says that it is not worth it and she will pay, because it is a compensation system. The girl also holds out a chest of gold coins and asks if she can pay for it all at once, to which the woman replies, of course. And the main character claims that she will come to pick up the piano a little later, and the woman says yes, and they will also wait impatiently. Lyra then says goodbye to them, and a little while later she is at Noelle's mansion. The girl looks at the stone and realizes that it really looks like it is more than just a jewel. She also realized that Lyra's magic is far from perfect, and let's say she cannot create something living and something that has magic in it. Here it's more about material things, because she can't create animals or magical objects either. She can only create what Lyra has seen with her own eyes, so she can't create backgrounds and computers either, but the girl thinks how much she wants to have a phone. Well, she also thinks that if you have money, then almost everything can be solved, both in life and in a book, because money plays an important role. At first, the girl spent the entire day creating money because it's almost always usable, and everyone generally likes money. It makes you feel much more confident. However, strange rumors began to circulate about a girl who was spending money left and right. As a result, she began to attract the attention of strange people, including swindlers, thieves, robbers, kidnappers, and pimps. She didn't manage to handle everything, so there weren't any particular problems, but it was extremely unpleasant. And problems will arise if rumors reach the imperial authorities, so it's time to wrap this up before she's already tired of shopping. The girl then thinks that the night market will definitely open today, so she will go have a look and gather information. A little while later, the girl is already there, and one of the men approaches her and claims that they sell excellent books. And you can't buy this in regular stores. After which, the young lady looks at this book and is surprised. After all, she sees a familiar whale there. Afterwards, the girl reads that it's a magical consciousness that illuminates the entire empire of Atlantis, and she thought it was an ordinary whale. The man then asks in shock if she really knows the language of Atlantis, which makes the young lady a little surprised. And the man once again claims that this book was written in the language of Atlantis, and she read it all so easily. Lyra says the letters are indeed different, and the man asks where she learned this language, since none of the buyers could translate it and it's so rare. The protagonist wonders if the ability to understand this language is really so valuable. But she shouldn't stand out anymore, after which the girl claims that no, and that these are just thoughts out loud. The man then asks if this is true. He had hoped to learn more about Marmel. His dream is to see Marmel with his own eyes. He can't imagine how beautiful this creature is, but seeing it is practically impossible. At this time, the main character remembers how the woman said that she did it for her. Meanwhile, in the Chiron Empire, the boys are looking for Pian at the training grounds. One of them claims he's being repulsed, but classes are about to start, and they're wondering where he is. Another guy claims he thinks Pian simply fled out of fear. His friend replies that you can't say that about a member of the imperial family, because he could still be imprisoned. Well then, this guy asks if this weakling from Bariana is really a member of the imperial family, and after all, his 8-year-old brother will be much better than him. Then let him stay in Bariana, because they don't need such weaklings, and the guy asks if his friend thinks that Madame Madeline is angry with him, otherwise why would she be so strict with her son? The other guy then tells his friend to stop already, because if anyone hears, he'll be in big trouble. Well, the red-haired guy insists that he's not there, so they can go and look elsewhere, but he's too lazy. After this, Pian thinks about something, but at that very moment, someone tells him that they found him. It turns out it's the main character, and the girl asks how he's doing. The young man is shocked. She also exclaims what she means by long time no see, since it's been a whole year. Lyra apologizes and claims it's difficult to teleport to a place you've never been to, and it's generally difficult to get into the Chiron. The guy claims that he sent letters to that room, and the young lady replies that the Duke decided to clean there, and he really didn't like that he and his mother went there. But let the guy better tell why he's slacking off, because those boys were looking for him. The young man replies that he is not slacking off, and that he simply does not like going to classes, but the girl understands that this is what slacking off means. She also asks why he doesn't like it so much, to which he replies that it's necessary to hurt a person until he defeats the teacher. The guy also says that his teacher is his mother, and she is the former commander of the Night Squad Chiron. The main character realizes that a boss appears in the training. The young man then claims that Chiron's people don't like to lose, but he doesn't understand. After all, he's used to beatings and loneliness, but he's afraid of disappointing his mother, and maybe the problem is that he's not Chiron's real person. The guy also asks if he is a bad son, and that is why his mother treats him this way. The main character replies that in no case does he have any idea how much she values him, but the guy replies that he doesn't think so, and even in Bariana, his mother's father came first, and she broke up with such a father, and he is just a burden for her. The main character understands that this is a difficult question, and she cannot say anything because she does not know enough about Chiron, but she cannot close her eyes to it either. After which the girl takes the guy by the hand and asserts that everyone gets disappointed if they continue to worry and that this is completely normal. The fact that he needs to defeat the teacher is a path to the goal, not the goal, and when he understands what he really wants, that will be the goal, and then he will work hard to defeat the teacher. The main character understands that this is how he became a first-class knight for Helen. After which the young man claims that he does not have what he would like to do, and the young lady tells him to find it, because there is no need to rush into it. And since he's decided to take a walk, the girl suggests they go for a walk. A little while later, they find themselves on a boat, and the girl realizes that there's a pleasant wind, a blue sea, and a simply superb beat. But for some reason she feels nauseous. Pian then turns to the young lady and asks if she's okay, but she asks what he thinks. The young man asks if it's possible to cure seasickness with magic, to which the girl replies that it is, but 10 seconds later, she starts feeling nauseous again. The guy then says that it was necessary to use teleportation, but Lyra claims that she said that it is impossible to teleport to a place where you have not been, and if you try to do so, she could end up in fire and underwater. After all, she's had that experience before. The guy then says it could have been in a cart, but when the young lady is about to say something else, she can't take it anymore, and she feels really sick. After this, the guy claims that things won't work this way, and suggests that they rest first. When they land on the island, the main character immediately falls to the ground, and the young man asks if she is okay. After this, the girl only says that she adores the earth, and the young man sighs and tells her to go there. Pian places the young lady's head on his knee and claims that the ground is dirty and she will get dirty. Well, if she wants, she can lie on him, after which the young lady smiles and also says that he is so shy, and her favorite is not only sweet but also kind. The guy then tells her to listen, and that there was no one near the ship, so how did it move? The young lady replies that with magic, you can point it in the right direction, and then it will start moving. Pian asks if such a thing is inexpensive, and the girl replies that it costs like 3 lakhs, but the price matches the product. After which the young man claims that he understands why many people have recently become obsessed with working with magical stones. The main character thinks it's true, and that's why Helen is trying. Lyra thinks she doesn't care because she has money, after which she also says she feels better and asks what this island is, but the guy replies that he doesn't know because it's not even on the map. But at that very moment they hear someone screaming for this guy to be caught. Lyra says it's immediately clear there's someone there who isn't from this island. Pian says yes. At this time, the guy runs through the forest and the men who are running after him scream at him to stop. Then one of them grabs the young man by the clothes and claims to have caught him. He curses and claims the guy made them sweat, and also wonders if he thought he could escape from such a small island, because as soon as he goes out to sea, he'll become fish food. Lyra insists that he needs to be saved. However, Pian tells her to wait, because he might be a criminal. The girl whispers something that is true, after which the young man is hit and then told to get up. After which he picks the guy up and hits him again. The man then asks if he's done anything wrong. If he thinks that by playing the piano he will return to the aristocracy, after all, a slave remains a slave. The young lady then remembers that this man was playing Noel, after which she claims that she can no longer watch it. The girl immediately gets up from her seat and addresses these bandits. One of them asks who this girl is and who brought her. After all, they didn't have her. The main character at this time is interested in what is happening, but then says that it doesn't matter anyway, because let them quickly let him go and it's better to let this man try to become a slave himself. The bandit then asks what she said and let the little one watch her language. After all, now they'll teach her a lesson. But when a man is about to hit a young lady, then the guy who is playing the piano grabs him by the leg and asks him not to touch them because it is his own fault. One of the men then says that a defender has certainly been found. Then the other turns his attention to the children and says that they look pretty good, and they can be sold for a lot of money, but before that, he then reaches out to the main character. But Pian fights her off and tells him not to dare. The man then asks what he just said and whether he really wants to fall into eternal sleep. After which she hits him on the head and the main character, seeing this, screams. After which everyone asks him how dare he hit her favorite guy. The girl starts using her powers, after which she throws the bandit against a tree. knocking him out. The other one then asks what happened, and the main character says that they are still there, so she completely forgot. Then she lifts these two into the air, and they scream, "What is she doing?" because she should let them go. One of them screams again for the witch to let them go. The main character then wonders if they really want it that badly, because if that's the case, she'll let them go. Hey, the girl throws these two to the floor. The boy who was playing the piano wonders who this girl is. At this time, Lyra turns to Pian and asks how he feels, to which the guy replies that he is safe, and asks how Lyra is. The girl replies that it's easy and didn't he see how she removed this trash, so from now on he doesn't have to protect her. Pian is only depressed by this, and the main character turns to the musician and asks how he feels. The guy asks if she is talking about him, after which the young lady replies that yes, she saw him playing in the store, and he plays the piano so beautifully, after which the girl uses her magic and heals his wounds. The guy thanks her, and the main character also asks what they will do with the trash. The guy who is playing the piano wonders if she is really asking him, since the girl claims that he is a victim. The young man claims that he became a slave because of his family's debts, and does not consider himself a victim. After which, the main character screams for him to wait, and she says that he is a victim because he tried to escape but was caught. But after this, the young man remains silent, and the main character thinks that this is a terrifying topic of slaves, after which she even says that she can't get used to it. And she knows that it is legal to have slaves there, but she doesn't think that it is right, because she personally would punish them. Therefore, the girl claims that she will ask again what the guy wants to do with them. The young man remains silent after this, and then goes on to claim that they have ruined the lives of many people. At the very least, they exploited the children and put collars on them and made them their property, so how does the lady think he wants to do with them? After all, he wants them to fall into an eternal sleep of torment. A short time later, these men wake up. Well, then they see that they're tied up in the fire. One of them screams, "What's wrong?" while the main character heads off on a ship. The guy who played the piano says that they should at least feel the pain for all their sins. A little while later, evening comes, and Pian remembers how the young lady said that now he does not have to protect her. At this point, the pianist screams and asks why the girl is floating in the air, to which she replies that she is seasick and asks if he is hungry. The young man replies that he is fine, but due to past events, he forgot to introduce himself, so now he claims that his name is Philip, and thanks him for saving him. Pian claims that his manner of speech is similar to that of an aristocrat, and Philip replies that it was 5 years ago. But today, he has neither money nor family, and is a slave with no future. And by the way, he doesn't know the lady's name, so he's wondering if she can tell him. Pian is surprised to hear this and expects the girl to reveal her name. The main character merely smirks at the lady's words and insists she doesn't come from that kind of family. And if you look at it that way, he's older, so he shouldn't bother. But then the guy asks what he should call the girl. Lyra is about to say her name, but then she turns to Pian and sees how impatiently he is waiting. She simply says that she has no name because she is a fairy. The girl also understands that just a little more, and it would be the end of everything. Philip then asks if this is true, and then the fairy states that he is grateful with all his heart for saving her. Lyra realizes that this guy doesn't have the same reaction as those two, after which she also tells him not to pay attention. After all, she did what was necessary, not the young man who claims that only a fairy can say such a thing. The girl claims that perhaps for the local residents it is strange to save slaves, but where she lived it was accepted. They are all people, so why should they deprive anyone of their rights? Pian then asks what happened, because it suddenly became so light, and when the main character looks overboard, she is surprised. She also grabs the guys by the hand and tells them to quickly go there and take a look. After all, beneath them lies the aurora of the sea, or marmal. The main character also says how beautiful it is. It's as if they have heaven beneath their feet. The girl also wonders if the guy knew that seeing her was a 1 in a million chance, so they were lucky. At this time, the guy claims that if they are lucky at such a moment, then God is unfair. After all, 5 years ago, bandits attacked the Hepburn territory, where the Rolands ruled. They did not have a sufficiently trained army to resist them, and my father gave the castle as collateral. He also hired people, but everything was useless, after which he decided to ask the county for help. In response, they simply prayed for victory every day and painted pictures in the temple, but did not send anyone to help, and every day they had more and more victims, and eventually his father fell into eternal sleep. Only after this did the county begin to send them knights, and the robbers, seeing them, immediately fled. Pian asks if the behavior of that count, and, in general, the fact that the robbers from the sea attacked those on land, isn't strange. Philip replies that he thought the same, but what was more important was that everything was over, without even suspecting that this was only the beginning. The county of Jirian declared that it was the father who had brought the bandits upon himself, and in one moment, Rollins became a traitor. The main character then asks what it is, and what about the trial, to which the guy replies that, of course, there was one. However, the father was no longer alive, and his confidants were put into eternal sleep by bandits. The Rollins were powerless, and the entire family became slaves. The boy then asks if she understands now. After all, if he had been lucky, all this would not have happened, and he would not have had to endure such treatment. But the main character says that even if he doesn't answer, he's still lucky because he met a fairy. The girl who will fulfill all his wishes also claims that she will fulfill any 3 wishes, and besides reviving those who have fallen into eternal sleep, she will do anything. The guy then clenches his fists and asks why and for what purpose she goes so far. The girl replies that she has no reason because she just wanted to help him, and asks if this is really impossible. But the guy replies that it is impossible for all this to happen without a good reason. But the main character claims that he lived in slavery all these days for no reason, so why shouldn't something good happen for no reason, like today? The young man then asks if she'll grant him 3 wishes, to which the girl replies, yes, and the guy claims that the first thing he wants is a bank where he can use 1 million gold. Lyra asks if he wants a bank and not money, after which the guy asks if it's difficult, to which the girl replies no, it'll just take her time, but it's doable. The main character asks, what about the latter? After which the young man claims that he wants to return the mountains, taken away by the county of Girion. Pian asks if these are the same Hepburn mountains with magical stones, to which the guy replies that everything is correct. And the young man then claims that there are many magical animals there, and it is difficult to dig anything, so why does he need these mountains? Philip replies that there is something there that is not in other mountains, and the main thing is to find an approach and application for everything. The main character, looking at these two, thinks why she feels such tension. The girl also says that she understood and decided on the second wish, after which she also asks what the last gesture is. The guy replies that he wants the girl to save his partner named Rosalind. Pian asks if he's talking about a partner, and does that mean he has a girlfriend? But Philippe wonders what kind of girlfriends slaves might have. Partners of this system, in which slaves work in groups of 2 people, and if one does something wrong, the second will be responsible for it. Their lives depend on each other and they are connected, so the main character is interested. Did he really run away leaving his partner behind? To which the guy cries out that no, and he will now explain everything. One of them had a girl approach Philip and claim that she had stolen it and that it was a magic stone that was used for teleportation and that they would be able to escape. But the guy then claimed that they wouldn't just leave them like that, and if they used this stone it would be even more dangerous. Therefore, he suggested waiting until another chance came. But after that the girl screamed that another chance would come too late. After all, if not now, then they will send her to the bedroom of Count Girion, and Philip understands that she cannot leave him, so he suggests that they run away together. And so they escaped, but they used the stone without knowing how to do it correctly, so they missed her, and he was thrown onto this island. The main character says that it's good, and she will destroy the slave trader, to which the guy responds. He would really like to, but it would be very problematic, because as long as he has rights to them, these collars will not be removed from them. This means that they will be branded as slaves for the rest of their lives, and then the girl claims that she will buy all the slaves and free them, but the guy replies that it's not that simple. After all, if they're sold, new ones will come in their place, and it's practically an endless system. ultimately the number of people suffering will be many times greater. Lyra says that then they will leave it for later, and for now they will deal with his partner. The girl asks where to find her, to which the guy replies that if she was caught, there's a high probability she's in Hepburn right now. The main character then says, okay, and they head there. The girl also turns to Pian and asks her where this place is, to which he replies that it is southeast of Noel and offers to take the helm himself, but Lyra replies that he can't. Philip Bitoff looks at the girl for a moment and realizes that she possesses incredible strength and an angelic appearance, incomprehensible behavior, and she also said that a fairy is a lie and even a fool would understand that this is a lie, so the guy wonders if he is seeing a dream. At this time, the main character turns to Philip and asks if he is okay with bare legs, to which he replies that yes, because the lady cured them. But Lyra claims that this is not what she is talking about, and conjures up boots, and also claims that this is a bonus. The guy wonders if there really is a person who treats slaves so well, and also can he believe this, but the guy thinks that it doesn't matter who this girl was, a witch or an angel, and even if this is just a dream, he does not want to give up this happiness, and now thanks the girl. A little while later, they are already looking at this cave, and the main character asks if it is really there, because the security is somehow weak. Philip replies that most likely they are here, and Pian says that there are a lot of people inside. After all, he smells different smells, and the main character thinks that this is what dragons smell like. At this time, Philip turns to the fairy and asks her to try not to fall into slavery, because there is a high probability that people are mixed there. The main character replies that she understands and she herself does not want to stand out, after which she conjures up some kind of scent. The guards of this cave sense it and immediately fall to the floor, and the main character claims that it is a sleeping powder and wind magic. Meanwhile, Philip picks up the keys from the floor and suggests they hurry. They then go inside, and the guy claims it's there. The main character looks at all the people in the cages and then says how many of them are there. At this time, they also see a lady with blonde hair, who shouts to Philip that she is there. The guy immediately approaches Rosalind and says how good it is that she is in one piece, and the girl asks how he is. Pian claims that he doesn't want to interfere with their joyful reunion, but they have to go, after which the guy says yes, and he thinks that he understands that now everyone is in a bad situation, but he cannot save them all. There are fewer demands on slaves there, and almost all of them are sent to other countries. It will still be several months before they come for them again. After which the young man asks to listen without loud shouting and asserts that now he'll open the lock and take his partner. Everyone will want to escape if the locks are open, and he has no right to stop them. At this time, one of the slaves asks if he will let them out and if they will be able to escape. But at this time the guy asks not to run away and stay inside, after which one of the slaves screams out what he said and whether he will really take only his partner. But the young man wonders where they plan to go if they escape, and whether it's the sea where there are bandits, or the mountains where there are demons, or whether they think they can blend in with humans. But as long as they have this around their necks, they will not become free, and in order to not return there again, the root of this entire system must be removed. But then one of the slaves tells the guy not to make him laugh and says that this brat doesn't understand anything. After all, it will be they who will later be to blame for their departure, to which he replies that he understands this perfectly well. But for slave traders, slaves are a valuable commodity and they should not hurt them too much. However, Rosalina is his partner and she was caught after she tried to escape, so she will definitely not be forgiven for this. He also understands their feelings because he himself is a slave. But nothing will change if he just runs away and if they believe in him. Then he'll definitely get them all out of there. Well, then another slave grabs Rosalind, and he screams, "Is the guy really making fun of them? How can they trust him?" Philip is surprised, and the slave insists that if the guy wants to take this girl, then he should take him with him, otherwise he won't let her go. At this time, several more people arrive on the island, and one of them asks if his colleague hasn't had dinner and what he eats anyway. Another replies that he'll be on duty until morning and will be hungry. Pian tells Philip to hurry, because these people are coming. But this slave insists that if the guy doesn't want his partner to be put into eternal sleep. But at that very moment, another man hits him on the head and asks whose he is, because these people better watch him. The man also turns to the boy and asks if he has a plan, to which he replies that he can't tell them about it right now. He wants to save them all, but he can't trust any of them, and yet the man insists that all he can leave them with is promises. The guy doesn't even know what to say to that, and the man says that it's okay, he can be understood, after which he hands over the girl and tells him to take her. At this time, Pyeon notices that the people who arrived on the island already saw that the guards were sleeping. After which he says that they are already there, so they need to go, but Philip asks them to wait, after which he opens the cage and says that it is ready. At this time, one of the slave traders asks how long the guards have been singing and tells them to give them the keys. Well, when one of them looks at the place where the keys should be, he screams in shock that they are not there. Another slave trader asks if he is serious now and shouts at him to quickly call for help, because they have strangers, and also let them close the exit. Peen screams that they've noticed, and Rosalind insists she's scared. The protagonist insists she wants to take them all out right away and not worry about it, but she was persuaded not to attack. Then she extends her hand to the blonde lady and tells her to take it, and Philip will take her shoulder. The girl also grabs Pyeon and tells everyone to hold on to her tighter, after which she begins to use magic and teleports. When the slave traders enter the cave, one of them cries out, "Who's there?" Well, he sees that there are only slaves there. Another guard cries out that he found the keys. The man tells them to search everywhere to see if the hidden one is there. One of the slaves asks the other if it was magic. Well, he replies that yes, however, he has never heard of a magician who could teleport 4 people at the same time. At this point, the main character teleports onto the ship. The blonde lady immediately collapses to the floor. Philip immediately runs to her and asks if she is okay, to which the girl, with tears in her eyes, replies that she thought she would not return from there alive. The guy tells her that everything is fine now, but Pyeon claims that it looks like more time is needed, to which the main character replies that yes. After which she also turns to the guy and asks if he needs to go back because Madame Madeline will be worried. But when the guy doesn't answer, the main character asks what's going on. After which he, perplexed, asserts that he didn't tell anyone anything, and the main character screams, "Is he serious?" At this moment, the mansion servants scream, trying to find their master. One of them wonders where he's gone and whether he's been kidnapped. The two, standing in the bushes, realized what a commotion had been caused. Another man watched from the window. He says that they made too much noise there because of one lost thing, and his mother is so worried. One of the servants replies that it is natural, and he is from the royal family, and if he awakens as a dragon, he will be a threat to Lord Paris. But at that very moment, the man grabs the servant by the neck and presses him against the wall. He also asks who will be threatening whom. The servant then apologizes and claims it was impolite of him, after which the dragon drops him and says okay. He also looks at the two of them in the bushes. Pyeon asks the girl what he should do, and she replies that as soon as it gets quieter, he should come back immediately. The brunette wonders if this kid really brought a girl with him, and that's interesting. At this time, the servants turn to the mistress and say that there is no trace of the guy, because they searched everything around and most likely he is not on their territory. The woman then claims that they are acting on a large scale and that the servants should go to the border and detain all suspicious persons, and she will inform His Majesty. The main character is shocked after this and thinks that this is too much, and says that it would be better for the guy to go out now, to which he agrees. Then he rises from the bushes and turns to his mother. The woman then, shocked, asks where he's been all this time and what kind of sight it is. But when the young man turns to the main character, he shows that he will not say a word about her, after which the guy claims he fell asleep at lunchtime and only recently woke up. The woman then calls for services and says they can go. And when they leave, she even slaps her son, and the main character is shocked. The boy's mother asks if he even realizes that he is a member of the royal family and how he is not ashamed to do such a thing. The guy apologizes, but the woman insists that he skipped classes today, so he should stop behaving like that. And didn't she say how important swordsmanship is for Chiron? To which the guy replies that it is. And the woman claims that if he doesn't want to so much, he can leave, and in return she won't let him go anywhere without security. The young man then says that it's not worth it, and the woman claims that he can't even stand up for himself and that all that remains is to protect him like in childhood. When the woman leaves, the main character turns to Pyeon and asks how he is. But his mother treated him strictly, and she truly has the character of a warrior and mentor. Well, let the guy not forget that she does this, because she is worried about him. Pian takes the young lady by the hand and says she always asks if everything is okay with him. The protagonist then asks if this is true, but she claims that he can easily get hurt, so she does it. The young man then says, "Here's how it is." He also apologizes but wonders if Lyra could leave because he would like to talk to his mother. The main character then agrees, and the guy also extends his little finger and tells her to promise that she will come to him. The main character then makes him a pinky promise and says goodbye to the guy. After which the young man starts running to his mother and realizes that he is glad that the girl is showing concern for him. But she will always treat him like a child, and now he thinks that it is annoying. But Philip's words that nothing can be changed if you constantly run away are true, so he shouldn't run away from problems. The young man then runs up to his mother and cries out, asking her forgiveness for behaving in a manner unbecoming of a member of the royal family. He also didn't think about the consequences and doesn't want to be a child who constantly needs to be protected, so he'll never run away again. And he asks his mother to take over his education. The woman is surprised by this but then smiles. And then he tells him to start by running 100 times around the training ground. The young man asks if it's really possible right now, to which the woman replies yes and asks if he doesn't want to. The guy replies that he understands. The main character, watching all this, understands that it's good that everything ends well. But when she moves further, she hits someone, and when she opens her eyes, then she sees a man in front of her. She realizes that he has dark hair, like jet black and gray eyes. He always has a frightening atmosphere around him, and he always and everywhere looks attractive. That's why he's one of the characters in The Dragon and the Empire, namely, the Black Dragon Paris. The guy just grins and greets the bunny. He also asks if she'll tell him her name. The main character is surprised, and she thinks that not even a minute has passed since we met, and he immediately asks for a name. So all she can do is run away, and the girl immediately teleports away. The guy then clicks his tongue in displeasure. And she also says that she's definitely a hare with her speed. The girl returns home and realizes it was dangerous, but she's so tired that she wants a bath. The main character also realizes that today she'll add some lavender flowers. Well, at that very moment, she feels a strong pain in her chest and wonders what it is, because her heart suddenly stabbed, or she imagined it. A little while later, they go to Hepburn's outlet, and the man claims that this is the main office so they can do whatever they want. Well, he's also wondering if this location is really suitable for them. He's only grateful, however, that they're building a new bank on the site of the old, destroyed one. Philip interrupts him and claims that there would be no problem answering if he knew the old owner. After which, the man claims he was a good man and couldn't have imagined everything would happen like this. He then says they can make a deal. When they do this, the girl claims that they should start by cleaning because even magic won't help there. After which they all start cleaning up. And the main character says there are so many documents there. And he sees loan statements there, and also wonders if there are too many of them. She reads all these names and realizes that she has heard the name Rollins somewhere before. The guy then takes the paper and says that this is also left. 5 years ago, his father took out a loan to hire knights. The main character at this time says that this is how it is, but she thinks that the guy is quite close. But if you look at it this way, he is also a handsome man, he is tall, and he himself is also slim and looks just like a model. The young man claims that the previous owner of the bank did not really understand this business, which is why he gave his father such a huge sum. And this is the result of this offense, so now his heart is even heavy. At this time, Rosalind also approaches them and claims that she has finished cleaning. Lyra says that's how it is and thanks her for her work, after which she states that now it's her turn. Rosalind claims that they were searching while cleaning, but they didn't find anything, after which the main character says, no problem. After all she needs is space. The rest is hers. The girl begins to conjure money and jewelry, after which she fills the entire room. She also turns to the guy and asks if there will be 1 million in gold. Rosalind says there is definitely more, and there is so much money. At this time, Philip says that with such a quantity, the monetary value will decrease. At this time, the main character turns to Philip and asks what is going on, to which the guy replies that it's okay, it was his request. The main character then says that in the end, as she promised. She will provide him with a document confirming that the guy is the owner of the Hepburn Mountains Son of Magical Stones. Philip asks when she managed to do this, and the girl replies that at first she thought about buying it, but then she simply stole it. The guy asks if it's too dangerous, but the main character replies that everything is fine, because they did it in the name of justice. After which the main character claims that Rosalina, the return of the mountains with magical stones, as well as a bank with gold worth 1 million. All his wishes are fulfilled, after which she wonders what he will do next. And will he also figure out the trade in slaves, because if he has a plan, then let him lay it out, because she wants to participate. Philip claims that first he will force the slave traders to buy mountains of magical stones, but the main character asks why. Philip replies that it is so that they have an additional burden to bear, and these mountains are very expensive, and the money of the slave traders is slavery. They will have no choice but to borrow money, and he will lend them the money at low interest rates, but of course he will take collateral. For example, the keys to 1,000 slaves. The main character claims it's a good idea, but wonders if they'll go through with it, after which the guy asserts that he thinks they'll want those mountains. Lately, aristocrats have increasingly avoided buying slaves, and ordinary citizens are even less likely to buy them, as slaves are quite expensive. Thus, the need for them among people gradually decreases, and of course, abroad, it is still customary to have slaves. However, there are many who do not survive the ship journey, due to illness, lack of water, and many other reasons. Merchants waste a lot of money to feed slaves, and if they use mountains of magic stones, they will have an incredible advantage in money. They'll be able to use slaves to mine treasure, and the main character says it's like this. This way, they'll have more money than just covering the cost of the slaves. Philip replies that yes, and therefore he is sure that they will definitely want to buy it, because this is the only mountain with magical stones and in Berrien that has not yet been used. Lyra wonders if they said there were a lot of monsters there and it would be difficult to dig. Rosalind asks if the slaves will be able to do this, to which the main character replies that they will, and the guy claims that this is why he wants the slave traders to buy the mountains. After all, he realized this during the battle with the bandits 5 years ago. Monsters don't attack bandits. The main character is then shocked, and Rosalind suggests it might be because they look scary. The guy then replies that no, and he thinks they have some kind of agreement or some other reason. But in any case, the fact that the monsters don't attack the bandits will be very beneficial to them, because most slave traders are bandits or former bandits, and they can easily be mistaken for one of their own. This means monsters won't attack while the work is underway. Rosalind wonders if such a method really exists, and the main character thinks so. After all, Helen used this item, and she didn't think that Philip would use exactly this, and the girl wonders if this plan is too clever. Meanwhile, the blonde-haired people insist she doesn't quite understand. She doesn't have to worry about it all. She can just ransom them all and set them free, and she can deal with the slave traders with magic. Well, the guy claims that this won't work, after which the girls ask why. Philip claims that he believes that the fairy has great potential and that she could easily handle it, but sometimes there are things that are pointless to do unless they themselves are the ones doing them. So the fairy just has to watch them, and soon she will see an interesting article in the newspaper. A little while later, the main character is already sitting in Pion's room and reading a newspaper. It says that the freed slaves raised a ruckus and the slave trade organization in Hepburn fell apart. The girl claims that this is definitely Philip's work. But only 2 months have passed since the bank was created. Pian claims that he took the slaves, keys as collateral, freed them, and this is the result. The main character understands that it is natural that the slave traders could not resist thousands of enraged slaves, but someone would still get hurt. And maybe she should have figured it out herself. Pian then asks if the girl wants to become their leader, which surprises her a little. But she insists that she's absolutely not the type of person who could lead, and she shouldn't stand out. The guy then says that it's not all over for the slaves, because they still have to survive. Even if the girl gave them freedom, it's not a given that they could live like normal people. First of all, they need to adapt to a different way of life, and they need to work. And he points to one place and claims it's perfect for them. This is Mount Hepburn with its magical stones. The monsters that interfered with the excavations have disappeared, and there is a huge amount of wealth there. The main character understands that this is why he chose this place, and the guy claims that there is something else that they will need, and asks if she remembers when they went to save his partner. The main character replies that yes, and understands that if he really wanted to save only his partner, he would have freed all the slaves on the spot and raised a ruckus. However, he asked them to wait until he prepared everything. That is, the guy planned to save everyone from the very beginning. Pian argues that such people need an excellent leader, and he is just right for this role. The main character then says, "That's how it is," and the guy insists that, especially since word has spread that freed slaves are dangerous creatures. And lately, aristocrats have been taking fewer and fewer slaves. This means that they are practically not needed in fulfilling their purpose, and Pian is thinking, where did he think all this through? Because everything is going according to his plan. The main character says how cool he is, but Pian claims that this won't last long. It is true that now they put a lot of emphasis on the extraction of magical properties, but it is just a material and these stones themselves do not bring any benefit. Magic needs to be imbued into these stones, but only the Chiron Empire can do this. Ultimately, only Chiron will be able to purchase the stones. And the thing is that the person in charge of all this is famous for his immorality. He is not sure that he can deal with the old merchant with only his brains on his shoulders, because most likely Philip will fail there. The main character then claims that she didn't know that the guy was well versed in this, but he claims that they just go through this in class and doesn't say anything about the main games, that he's a good guy, he's trying hard. The girl also claims that he has become taller, and his body has become stronger, while the young man is only embarrassed by this and claims that it is because he is training. Lyra thinks that she is so glad that everything is fine with him now. But he has grown from a boy into a young man. The girl also wonders when he'll grow up and become like the one in the book. So handsome and kind, and will love only one woman. That's why the main character hopes that at least everything will be like this, but then Pianeng character. So who is she? The guy insists that training is starting soon, and if he's late, he's in for a hellish night. The main character then wishes him good luck, and when the guy leaves, he tells her to come back for something else and replies that she already understood and that he should go already. The girl also wonders why she suddenly felt so sad, and is unconscious about the fact that the gap between the main characters and the secondary ones is quite large. After which she thinks it's time to go visit Philip, but when the girl enters the office, the lady with the blonde hair claims that Philip is not there now because he is there less often now and is always busy. The main character then says that this is how it is, and the girl claims that today he went to meet a merchant from Chiron. A little while later, the girl is already at the auction, and one man claims that he says that entry is prohibited without a special invitation, but the main character claims that she has money, and enough even for the VIP zone. Well, the security guard claims that what he said was no, and that means no, and he will have problems if he lets the girl in. So either she comes with an invitation or with someone who has one. The main character then considers what to do. And is it really worth waiting until all this is over or just finding another entrance? Well, at that very moment, someone shouts out that she does have an invitation, but the man says that she has no money. So how can he let her in? The girl cries out that she just came to look. Well, this man pushes her and tells her to stop talking nonsense and get out of there. The girl falls to the floor, and several magic stones fall out of her purse. The guard tells her to sit there peacefully, and will she take responsibility if they find out that he allowed her to enter, after which he closes the door. The girl just swears, after which the main character comes up to her and helps her pick up the magic stones that fell out of her wallet. Lyra also asks if she has an invitation, because she has money but no invitation, and she offers to go together. Well, then the girl asks how much money the lady has. Lyra replies that she has enough. The girl then extends her hand and asks for 1 gold coin. She also asks if the lady plans to sit in her usual place. If she has so much money, she'll seat her on the terrace. The main character then hands her 1 gold coin, and the woman, looking at her, tells her to follow her. A little while later, the main character wonders if she really deceived her, and they find themselves on the terrace. Lyra says that it is just like an opera house, and the woman replies that it is an opera house and that large auctions are usually held there. The main character says that this is how it is, after which she starts wondering where Philip is, and maybe he is now with the merchant from Chiron. The boy notices the young lady and wonders if she's a fairy. One of his charges asks what it is, and did the guy really see someone he knew and he was going to answer something? But then someone else comes onto the terrace and apologizes for being late, but also claims that he is a rather busy person. Philip replies that everything is fine because he understands that a person and his position are rarely free. The man then says the guy is good, even though he's still young. And today, he's probably come to him with a proposal. So let him post it faster. The main character is on the terrace at this time, looking around, but her interlocutor suggests she stop looking at everything and everyone. Lyra thinks the girl is being clever, and then she'll respond in kind, after which she claims that she came there to look for one person, and if her interlocutor drinks, then maybe she should go to a bar. The woman replies that she is only killing boredom because the most interesting part will be at the end. Well then, the main character takes her glass, and the woman asks what she is doing. The girl tells her to pay at least for this and asks if she knows the head of the trading organization, Chiron. The woman is surprised by this and asks why, but the young lady replies that she will not tell the reason. The lady with red hair then says that she doesn't know what the girl's goal is, but she'd better not get involved with their main one. After all, he doesn't just love money, but seriously believes that money is power and he will do anything for money. He'll even sell his daughter, who's dedicated her entire life to trade. The main character claims she speaks as if she knows him very well, and the girl replies, "Of course. After all, she is that very daughter." The main character is surprised after this. At this time, the head of the trading organization, Chiron, examines the stone and says that the thing is really not bad. So he throws it back to the guy and insists he won't take it. The young man asks if he doesn't like it, since he thinks his offer is much better. Compared to other sellers of magic stones, the man replies that this is true, but it doesn't matter whether it's cheaper or more expensive, since only one trading organization, Chiron, is engaged in processing. Philip asks if he thinks he will be alone in this field for eternity. Well, the man replies that the guy is young and therefore doesn't know, but he has never missed anything that could bring in money. And if it slipped through his fingers, he destroyed it even more effectively. But at this moment, someone cries out with gratitude for such a long wait, after which the auction host states that it is finally time for the last item. This is the Atlantean treasure from the Sea Fairies magic circle diagram. The head of the trading organization claims this is what he's been waiting for. The man also claims that he will focus on the auction, and the guy can go, and he will also say in advance, no matter what he tells him, he won't buy the stones from him. Well, if he's ready to sell the mountains, he'll think about it. After this, Philip just leaves, and when he walks down the corridor, he hits the wall. He also claims that he offered him almost everything, but he wants more. His colleague asks what the guy will do, to which he replies that he cannot sell him the mountains, because this is where people work. But if the mountains are in their hands, then it is unknown what will happen to the former slaves, and he does not want to act so rashly. His protege says that he agrees, because it's immediately clear what he's capable of. And then Philip claims that there is only one way left, because they need to start processing the stones themselves. The lady with red hair at this time claims that this is the diagram of the Sea Fairies magic circle, but the main character wonders what's so special about it, causing the woman to cry out, doesn't she know the layout of the Sea Fairies magic circle? And also, is she really a primordial being? It's such a treasure, isn't it? This book is the dream of everyone who has dedicated themselves to making magic stones, to which the main character replies that she does not know. Well, then he gets a little surprised and asks if she made the magic stones. The girl replies that yes, and she's not just a craftsman, but a special one, unique to only 10 people in this world. She crafts the finest magical stones. The main character thinks that she doesn't understand at all, but it seems that she is really good at this business. Well, the woman takes off the glove from her hand and shows the scars and also claims that it's all in the past. Lyra understands that these are all wounds, but it is definitely not an accident, after which the girl thinks who did this and why. The lady with red hair claims that she did say that this is the kind of person who would even sell his own daughter, and now he wants to get all the mountains with magic crystals on the continent. So he sends her to the only mountains in the Kingdom of Gloria. The offer seems beneficial to both parties, and her father would receive the mountains. And the Kingdom of Gloria had a master craftsman of magical stones from whom they could learn the craft. However, her father refused to give them the art. After which the girl claims that the production of magic stones is a delicate and painstaking work, but with such a shaking hand, it's impossible to make it. The main character then says that it turns out the kingdom of Gloria has been deceived. And the girl replies that, roughly speaking, her father is sending her as a concubine. And therefore, even if she cannot make stones, this will not be a violation of the contract. She can't imagine how they will treat her there, but her father is not the kind of person who is concerned about this kind of thing. The girl then drinks a glass of wine and says that she always thought so. That if she becomes an excellent master of stonemaking and earns money, then her father will recognize her. So she tried her best to become the best in her field, but she forgot something important. After all, there are many ways to use it, and the price doesn't matter. It's all up to the person with the money. But she didn't understand that and ruined her own life. Now the girl asks if it's really a pity, but she wanted to look at this book at least once. It's something of a dream, after all. The main character asks the girl if she really wants this book, and she replies that it's impossible. After which Lyra claims she will buy the book for her. And in exchange, the girl will be hers. The lady with red hair is a little surprised by this, and the main character claims that it sounded too ambiguous. She also claims that she means to negotiate, since she is a master of stonemaking. But the woman then asks if she really didn't hear her, because that's impossible. At this time, the host suggests starting the auction and bids start at 1,000 gold coins. The lady with red hair claims that this begins, after which the rates increase and rise to 1,900. Lyra asks if she should just raise her hand in Boston, which the girl does. The head of the trading organization, Kyron, wonders who this girl is. But then he sees his daughter standing next to her. Ellie asks what the girl is doing, and the main character replies that she wants to buy it for her, after which the man gets angry and raises his hand. The main character asks if she can keep her hand raised forever. But the lady is only interested in what she's doing, after which she tells the girl to lower her hand. But Lyra asks why, after which she waves her hand at everyone and also asks if it is possible to do this. The lady with red hair screams that it is impossible, while the presenter claims that the bet has been doubled and now the amount is 4,600. Ellie asks if the girl is really an idiot and that she should quickly lower her hand. But the main character wonders if waving your hand means the amount will double. She also claims that everything is fine, because there is not even 5,000 and nothing to worry about, but the woman screams that it is not about money. After which the man asks several more times whether anyone will bet 4,700 and if not. The lady from the second floor takes the sea fairy's magic circle diagram. The main character rejoices, and the host announces that this concludes today's auction and thanks everyone for participating. A little while later, the main character is already holding this book in her hands and wondering if there is some kind of magic sealed there too. Ellie suggests that the girl go faster, because if they get caught, they're done for. But the main character asks why she is so scared, after which the girl replies that it is because she does not know anything. After all, her father gave up not because he didn't have money, but because he thought it would be cheaper to put her into eternal sleep. The man insists it's fine, and indeed it is. Ellie asks if it's her father and shields the young lady with her body. A little while later, they are already sitting at the table, and the lady with red hair claims that this child does not understand anything. She didn't even know you could double the bet by waving her hand. The main character insists it wasn't a mistake, but the girl immediately yells at her to keep quiet. The man claims that, as far as he can see, the girl really knows nothing. After which he suggests ending it. He hands over a ticket for 3,000 gold coins, and if she doesn't want to fall into eternal sleep, then she should quickly take the ticket and give back the book. Well, then Lyra says that her grandfather got something mixed up because she paid 4,600 for this book, and he really doesn't know how to count if he wants to buy it for 3,000. The man claims that 3,000 gold coins is the appropriate price for the product, so no fool would buy something at a price higher than the EU cost. The main character says that if he really wanted to, he would have put her into eternal sleep long ago, and does he really consider her an idiot? After which the man gives a final warning and offers her to give the book for 3,000 gold coins. Otherwise, he will take her life. The main character then picks up the book and asks if he wants it, to which the man replies that yes, and that she should give him the book quickly. But the girl, at that very moment, throws it into the fireplace and claims that the book slipped from her hand. The man screams out what she has done and orders her to quickly pull out this book, but the main character says that not so soon. After which he begins to use magic and metal pipes fall from the sky. At that moment, the man finds himself locked up, And the main character claims that she doesn't really understand. Well, if she bought the book for 4,600, then she can sell it for at least the same price. Why does he decide everything himself? And as for this girl, is she really worth a mountain alone? So let him not make her laugh, because that can't be true. The main character also tells her to leave her nasty dad and offers to cooperate with her because she will take care of her. Well, the lady with red hair is wondering if she has any value at all at the moment, because she is worth even less than 1 mountain of magic crystals with such a hand. The main character places her hand on hers and asserts that she determines her own worth. The price her father gave her means nothing, after which the girl claims that she understood and agreed. Lyra claims that this is a great solution, but at the same moment, the girl's father screams at her to wait and stop talking nonsense. After all, Ellie is already being sent to the kingdom of Gloria. Lyra claims that she is, and she knows about it. But let him listen that if he wants something, then let him achieve it somehow on his own without selling his daughter. So the man then says that he only found her a partner as a father. After which the main character asks, did he really do that as a father? After which he takes off the glove from the lady with red hair and asks what it is in his opinion. The man then smirks and asks if the girl will even cooperate with her under such conditions. He also wonders what Ellie is thinking and what she can do with such hands. But after this, the girl smiles and also tells her father not to worry, because she will take care of herself and let him also take care of himself. Afterwards, the two teleport away, and Rosalind asks the fairy if something really happened. The protagonist replies that, yes, there is something. But then she suddenly feels her heart pricking and wonders if she imagined it. The lady with the blonde hair wonders if the girl went after Philip, after which she also asks who this girl is. The red-haired lady then asserts that she will never agree to teleportation again. The main character then claims that this little sister is a master in making magic stones. But the lady then tells the girl to wait, because she said that with such hands, she is not capable of anything, so she will simply help as much as she can. But the main character claims that she is still more suited to the role of a master, after which she also tells the girl to give her hands and then use magic on them. All the scars immediately disappear, and the red-haired lady is shocked. Lyra claims she tried so hard, so it would be a shame to spend the rest of my life with hands like that. The red-haired lady asks how the girl did it, and Lyra offers to show her father that she is worth more. After which the girl claims that her father always said that money shows a person's abilities. Therefore, in a few years, Ellie's trading organization will surpass Chiron's trading organization, and frankly, she's more capable than her father. Lyra and Rosalind then comment on how cool their little sister is. And the girl claims that her name is Ellie, and since they will be working together, they need to at least know each other's names, after which she asks what the girl's name is. The main character replies that in fact, she will not be dealing with her, because this guy's name is Philip, so she needs to know her name. But then the girl asks what to call her, and when the main character doesn't know what to answer. Then Rosalind says that a fairy is a fairy, so she suggests calling her that, because she is a fairy after all. Ellie, shocked, asks if she's really a fairy and she can't see it. Lyra insists she understands perfectly well and asks him not to look at her like that. And the woman says okay, let it be so, because she also healed her hand. But she still wants to know more about the terms of the contract, and she thought she'd be working with her, not some Philip. And the girl wonders who he is. The protagonist replies that, frankly, she can't say what he's like, but she'll tell her the circumstances. Rosalind suggests discussing everything over a cup of tea. A little while later, the lady with red hair says that yes, she also heard that slave traders bought the Hepburn Mountains with magic crystals, but she didn't think that such things were behind it. And this was the county of Girion after all. They also tainted the Rollins family. The main character says yes and asks if the girl knows about it, to which she replies that of course, they are cooperating with the trading organization Katsron, and it's a matter of salt. After which the girl claims that she has come up with something interesting, because in Bariana it is forbidden to make salt or sell it. After all, if they catch you, they'll execute you. The main character wonders if they really execute you there for salt, even though owning slaves is perfectly legal. The girl claims that in Chiron, such absurdities don't occur, but the punishment is a fine or a ban on working in Barian. However, the county of Girion is different, Rosalind asks if this is really possible, and the protagonist wonders if this means they will take revenge on the same person. The lady with red hair claims that she will clap for evidence, but they will get it, and let the girl better tell what she should do with that book, since she burned it. The main character then takes out the book and claims it's there, but the woman cries out, "Why?" To which the lady replies that she burned another book and simply replaced it with a similar one. The lady with red hair then says that it is amazing because she would never have thought that she would be holding this book in her hand. Well, when she opens it, she claims she can't read anything and wonders what language it's in. Lyra asks if she was so obsessed with this book but didn't even know what language it was in. The art of making stones has belonged to mermaids since ancient times, and this book has always been considered a treasure. Therefore, it fell into the hands of few people, and only they know about the existence of the book. The main character wonders if she is talking about mermaids, and also asks the girl to give her this book. When the lady opens it, she says it's just as she thought. It's the language of Atlantis. Ellie asks if she can actually read what's written there, and the main character claims that the first page says that you can gain power if you really want it. Well, then the main character sees in front of her someone who says that he loves her very much. The girl is shocked and then faints. Two girls immediately rise from their seats and shout for the fairy to hold on. At this time, the young lady thinks that she's in a lot of pain and her whole body is heavy, but then she thinks why this is so. When the lady opens her eyes, she hears someone saying that an inspection is needed and wonders what kind of place this is. At this time, the doctor claims that, to begin with, the lady knows what her daughter has eaten in recent days. The woman replies that she doesn't even know about the man telling her to listen because her daughter is in very bad condition, after which the woman tells him to do as he pleases. Hey, I'm so tired of all this. I wish this girl would fall into eternal sleep." At this time, the main character closes her eyes and thinks that, in fact, she is tired of all this. After which, she opens her eyes in shock and gets up from her bed, and also thinks where she is and wasn't she in the hospital. The girl looks at herself in the mirror and realizes that she has purple eyes and that platinum-colored hair again, so she wonders whether the hospital was a dream or whether the dream is what is happening now. At this time, someone turns to Mr. Pian and says that he did a great job, after which the guy thanks him, but when he enters the room, he's surprised to see the main character there. He wonders what she's doing, especially without the lights on. Lyra says he's the real Pian. Boris asks if there's a fake one, to which Lyra replies no, and she's just happy to see him. After which the young man leans over to her and asks what happened. Lyra replies that she had a dream, after which the young man asks what kind, and the lady replies that it was just an ordinary dream, where she simply ate alone and lazed around alone, and where she simply suffered in solitude, as if it were something completely normal and just a normal dream. So the guy puts his hand to her cheek and tells her not to cry. Lyra asks him what he's talking about and insists she's not crying. Pian insists it's hard for her to be alone. After which, the main character puts her hand on his and says that it feels so warm. And the guy really is genuine, which is why she's so happy. The young man only gets embarrassed about this, then turns away and says yes. At this moment, his mother passes by, watches all this, smiles, and closes the door. The main character asks if the guy really trained until late today, to which he replies that yes, it was a hell of a night workout. A little while later, the lady with red hair says that she is right there, after which the main character asks how she is feeling. Lyra also claims that she used too much magic that day, and Ellie claims that it looks like that because they called a doctor, but he said that she was just sleeping. The main character also asks how the girl is doing, to which she replies, "Since she doesn't understand the language, I tried to repeat it from the pictures, and there are things she can do and things she can't. But in the end, nothing worked out for her, and the woman asks how the lady is and thinks what the problem is." The main character claims that it was written that you can gain power if you really want it, and maybe that's true. Well, the lady wonders if there's anyone else who wants this power more than her, so the main character asks what's going on. She also thinks what a pity it is, and since the girl tried it, maybe it's worth activating. After which, the main character uses her power, but says that she has a slightly strange feeling. The lady with red hair claims that she saw this on this page and is interested in what is written there. Lyra claims that this is the magic of creation, which shocks the girl and then tells the lady to give her this stone. She also tries to really want it, and the stone comes into action, after which a handful of gold coins appears on the table. Well, after this, the stone cracks, and the lady with red hair says that this means this is the limit. 12 gold coins are very little, so they need at least 1,000, otherwise there's no point. The main character says they can also create something worth 100 gold coins. The woman then suggests trying different methods and points to one of the lines and tells the girl to read it. Lyra claims it's a healing, and the red-haired lady is shocked. The protagonist asks why she's so surprised, since she too can heal. But the woman claims that creation and healing are not usually used with magical stones and can only be done in the Barian Empire. Well, then Ellie suddenly goes silent. The main character asks what it is, and her interlocutor replies that it's nothing, and she doesn't care if it can turn into money. So in short, they'll make a powerful discovery, and this is a chance to make big money. What if the fairy is paired with her? But the main character wonders why her. After which the woman claims that she had just told the girl that she felt something. And it seems that in order to activate these stones, magic is needed, and they have a huge amount of it. They would be great partners, to which Lyra replies yes, after which the girl hands the stone to Lyra, and he says he's giving it to her because she can use it for her own purposes. Well, the main character claims that she can heal as much as she wants anyway. Ellie claims that she does, and others do not, so let her give this stone to her loved one. At this point, Pian is on the battlefield. He then knocks one of the guys away. The judge then calls for a finish and states that the outcome of the 4vs4 battle is determined. Mr. Pian emerged victorious. The boy's mother smiles afterward, and one of the losers insists it's all in the genes. But this guy still gives it his all. He beat 4 guys on his own. Someone else says, what nostalgia? But he remembers how he used to skip training. At this time, someone else comes up to Pian's mother and says that his brother is trying. It turns out it is Paris, and he also tells the woman to look at him so sternly and also suggests that he relax because she is his teacher. And when he becomes emperor, even if she doesn't want to, she will have to respect him. The woman understands that her nephew is so stupid and she doesn't like him, but she'd rather not quarrel. After which the guy smiles and says that he would like to wrestle with her son. The woman is a little surprised by this, and the brunette asks if he can do something, and answers yes. A little while later, the two are already standing opposite each other, and the judge states that they will fight to the bitter end. However, if one of them drops the weapon and surrenders, the fight will end. The man standing next to Pian's mother asks if the lady is sure, because he understands that the gentleman has grown over the past few months, but he will not be able to cope with Paris, who has awakened the dragon within himself. The woman says that, of course, it's dangerous. However, Paris won't allow himself to be humiliated in public. Then the man asks why the lady allowed them to fight. The woman replies that this is something Pian would have encountered sooner or later. Paris only wants to assert herself at Pian's expense and also use him for her own ends, so it's better for the guy to learn this lesson now rather than later. At this point, the referee raises his hand and announces the fight has begun. Paris turns to his brother and tells him to attack. Pian understands that he is standing in such an open position, but he cannot get to him and thinks what to do. At this time, Price claims that if he does not intend to, he will go first, after which the man attacks him and kicks him in the stomach. He lifts the guy by the hair and asks if this is all, because if not, then let him get up. He also claims that his brother looks good until he gets annoyed and then slams his face into the floor. He also says it's a shame he has nothing shiny except his face, but I did like that he doesn't let go of the weapon and it looks like he's in pain. After which Paris stands on this guy's hand and says that maybe the brat won't be so stubborn, and he will simply give up, but then he also says that if he gives up, he will be too ashamed to look into that girl's face. After all, this girl with platinum hair and purple eyes is like a bunny. The guy then says he'll put his brother into eternal sleep. Paris asks what he just said, and Pian claims that if his brother touches this girl, he will no longer be alive. Everyone seeing this comes into shock, after which the guy turns into a dragon. Paris only grins after this, and realizes that his brother has awakened the dragon within him. One of the servants claims that he could not have imagined that this would happen so soon, and the woman understands that she wanted to show that he was still far from the title of emperor, but everything turned out completely the opposite, so she is speechless, and her head begins to hurt at the thought that now a fight for the place of ruler will begin. But perhaps it's for the best that now Paris will not especially belittle Pian. But the problem lies elsewhere. A short time later, the main character teleports into Pian's room. She looks around and wonders if the guy hasn't come yet. But he always came back after training, all tired and covered in various ailments, so this stone will do him good. Well, at that very moment, someone says that the lady is there and claims they haven't seen each other in a while. The main character turns around and sees Madame Madeline there, and also says that this is Pian's room. The brunette replies that she was aware that the lady visits her son from time to time, and today she has news. To begin with, she asks to be allowed to thank her, because thanks to her, their son was saved, and there are no words to express her gratitude. The main character then asks what she is, because for her, happiness Piana is her happiness. The girl wonders what happened, she's so scared. But the woman insists that if she needs anything, she should contact her. They'll be happy to repay the debt. Lyra replies that she copes mainly with the help of magic, so everything is fine. The woman then says that she remembers that the girl is a great master of magic, and wonders if she can ask her something. The main character replies yes, after which the woman asks if she would like to become Pian's other half. Lyra then becomes embarrassed and asks what she is talking about, and the woman replies that yes, and whether she wants to. The main character says it's not that she didn't expect such a question, and she simply didn't expect it. The girl also thinks that in reality she's already an adult, and Pian isn't, so she claims to be shocked and finds it difficult to answer. The woman then says that this is how it is, and then says that the lady should never meet with him again for his own good. The main character is surprised by this and asks why and whether she did something wrong. The woman then asks not to misunderstand her because she did not say that the problem is with the lady, and on the contrary, she wants them to be in a close relationship with him. However, today the boy awakened the dragon within him. Lyra asks if that's really true and realizes that usually happens after coming of age. The woman claims that of course she wanted Pian's power to awaken, but his dragon seal is many times stronger than hers. And of course there are side effects too, which make the woman sigh. He also asks if the woman has noticed that he has feelings for her. The main character remembers those blue eyes always directed at her and thinks that maybe the guy behaves a little childishly, but he always chooses kind words, and his warm hand touching her as if she were something precious. So naturally, it's impossible to deny the fact that he's not indifferent to her, and the girl claims that she knows, after which the woman claims that she understands that the lady is staring at them. However, she cannot claim that it is forever, and she is not even talking about feelings. After all, the lady could disappear into another world at any moment, like a fairy. The main character then wonders if she'll really disappear, and if that's really true. The brunette claims that she is well aware that they owe her a great debt. However, she is more worried about her son's condition after unrequited love, because if she experienced it so badly, then she will be more worried. Pian may even fall into eternal sleep. The main character is shocked after this, but he claims that this can happen to anyone, and then, wouldn't it be dangerous for him to be in a couple at all? The woman claims that the imperial family of Chiron is not attached to social status. However, usually, representatives of the royal family of Chiron who have awakened the dragon within themselves choose as their partners those who have Chiron genes. If they connect their seals, their feelings will never be destroyed, but even if the red liquid Chiron does not flow in the partner, there are many ways to maintain the connection. Thus, the awakened dragon is given many privileges, including strength and military power. However, the lady has power and money, so nothing will guarantee that she will stay with him for life. And the woman also gets down on her knees and asks that before Pian's feelings become stronger. Then let the lady not appear before his eyes, because that's all she wanted to say. A little while later, the main character finds herself in her room and realizes that she has returned and nothing can happen to her in response anymore. Her sad eyes are constantly before his eyes, and he knows that the dragon will wake up inside him. The girl wonders why she didn't do anything earlier, even though she could have assumed that everything would work out with him. After all, everyone's dream is to flirt with their favorite hero. But Lyra understands that when she first met him, he was a child and she thought of him more as a younger brother than as a partner. And even if she imagines him as an adult, no one else comes to mind next to him except Helen. After which the girl screams out that she herself does not understand what she wants. And wasn't it too cruel for Madame Madeline to tell her not to meet with him? And of course she understands her feelings. But still, what does it mean that she can disappear at any moment, and does she really give them money that suddenly disappears one day? At this time, someone else turns to the fairy and the girl screams, "Who said fairy?" It turns out it's Philip, and he's wondering why the girl is so angry about something, and he replies that it's nothing like that and understands that she can't tell him. Lyra claims that she hasn't seen Philip for a long time and she is glad to meet him, after which the guy apologizes and claims that he was too busy with business matters. By the way, he saw her at the auction, because then the lady came for him, to which the girl replies that yes, she wanted to see him as soon as she read the article in the newspaper and also thought of congratulating him personally. After this, the guy replies with a smile on his face that he is very happy and the main character thinks that her heart is healing. At this time, Philip is wondering how about having dinner together and what the fairy's favorite food is. Well, the main character tells him to listen, because of course she asked, but could he please not call her a fairy when they're alone? She was already shy, but today she's not in the mood for being called that. The guy then says that's how it is and asks what he should call the lady then. The main character thinks what name to tell him and whether it is worth telling him the real name or the local one. After which she finally says her name in this world and tells him to call her that, after which the guy does so. And the main character claims that this is a secret for the others and the guy is interested. Do other people know? To which the girl replies that yes, and that under no circumstances should PN know her name. Philip then addresses her by name again and says he understands. The protagonist then suggests they go get something to eat. She also claims that she wants meat, to which the guy replies that he will prepare it right now. At this moment, a lady with blonde hair is outside the window. A little while later, the main character looks at the pebble, and she realizes she forgot to give it to Pian. But Lyra still understands that if she returns, she'll likely run into Madame Madeline again, so the girl thinks maybe she should give it to Philip. At this point, Rosaline approaches the fairy lady, and he asks if he can talk to her. A little while later, the two are already sitting at the table. The main character asks the girl if she wants to build a school, and she replies that, yes, there are many former slaves who cannot read or write. This causes problems when preparing documents and various contracts, and it is also a necessary thing to continue living in society. So she thinks basic knowledge could make their lives much easier. Lyra says it's a great idea and asks if the girl would be a teacher, to which she replies that she is not a scientist, but she and Philip were taught writing and mathematics so they can be useful. The blonde lady claims that she is always grateful to the fairy and that Philip always strives to help others. But he always complained that he didn't have enough strength for this, so she thanks the lady. The main character then says that there is no need to thank her like that, but the girl insists that there is no need, and that the lady is indeed a good person. After which Rosalind claims that she has another request, and the girl asks if she can also call the lady Lyra. The main character is surprised by this, and then asks how the girl knows her name, to which she replies that she accidentally overheard their conversation with Philip. She also asks if she can, to which the main character replies that of course she can, but when there are strangers, she should abstain. Lyra understands that the main thing is that Pian doesn't find out her name, and the blonde then says that's how it is. But then she claims that, in fact, she was worried that the lady loved Philip. Since she only told him about her name, the main character is surprised, and the girl claims that, having been convinced of the opposite, she calmed down. After all, she always loved him. The main character, Datova, is surprised and asks if Philip does too. But Rosalind replies that no, and the feelings are only on her part, so she tries to become worthy of his attention and suitable for him as a partner. The main character then says that this is how it is, but then she thinks about what kind of unpleasant feelings she has. At this time, Rosalind asks if the lady is going to do this, and the main character asks what she is talking about. The blonde claims that the lady is a magnificent sorceress and will choose the right one for herself. After all, it doesn't look very pretty to simple people like them. Lyra thinks she understands, and in fact, Rosaline is trying to create distance between her and Philip. A little while later, the lady with red hair approaches the main character, but she understands that she thought that she and Rosalind were getting along, and of course there are moments when she looks at him, but wouldn't that happen to every girl if he showed her kindness? At this point, Ellie screams, wondering if the girl can even hear her. The protagonist then asks what's going on. After which the lady with red hair, almost crying, says that this stone broke and asks what happened to the girl. After this, Lyra apologizes, and Ellie asks what's wrong with her, since she's not herself. The protagonist asks her interlocutor if she has a loved one, to which she replies that she loves everyone. Lyra is surprised and claims she didn't expect that. The girl insists that anyone can be used for money. Then she asks why the girl is asking and if something happened to her boyfriend. Lyra replies that if she hadn't answered, she wouldn't have even suspected that she had been listed as a rival. The lady with red hair says at this time that this is why she advises children not to do nonsense. After all, money is more important. The main character then says that she shouldn't have even asked the girl about it. Lyra sighs and realizes that she was in shock when she heard these words from Rosalina. She can be understood, because she would also be wary if the person she always liked was closer to another. But the main character thinks that Madame Madeline and Rosaline, why did they both blame everything on her? And what is she guilty of? But at that very moment, the stone under the girl's hands cracks. Meanwhile, in the Barian Empire's castle, one of the servants comments on how boring it is, and his colleague replies that it has become quieter since the princess's disappearance. His companion replies that, indeed, Her Majesty's mood has improved considerably. Then one of the guards says that this princess is nothing but trouble and that she should never come back. Well, then someone else turns to the guards and asks if they are getting too carried away with their conversation during their duty. When the two men turn around, they see Princess Helen standing there. She asks why they're standing there, asking if they should quickly inform the emperor of their agreement. After which one of them informs His Highness that the first Princess Helen de Bariana wishes to meet with him. The man then tells her to come in, and when the girl enters the room, she thanks him for accepting her. The emperor then asks her what her business is. She responds that she has a request and asks if he could send her to the northern region, where the planting work is underway. But the man wonders why she asks him whether he will do it his way anyway, to which the girl replies that with his permission, there will be privileges. But the man asks what will happen if he doesn't allow it, after which the girl claims that she will take a roundabout route. Then the emperor sighs and claims that she understands perfectly well the reason why he will not allow her. The girl then asks if he thinks she will come back, since she personally does not expect this. After all, this girl is not such an idiot as not to understand what will happen to her if she returns. The man then sighs and takes out his watch and, looking at it, realizes that she is alive and well. After which he also wishes for his daughter Lyra to have good dreams. A short time later, the girl falls asleep, but then he finds himself in some room and thinks that this is definitely a dream, because whales are hovering in the air. Then she also notices some child and realizes that she is a little scared. It looks like a horror movie, but she still thinks it's worth talking, after which the girl turns to the child and asks why he's crying. But the child asks who the little sister is, to which she replies that she is a fairy, but then she realizes that this has already become a habit for her, after which she claims that her name is Lyra. Well, the child then claims that this is her name, which surprises the main character. But the girl claims that she shouldn't be there, and her place is in the hospital. The main character then opens her eyes and sees doctors and IVs next to her. At this time, Philip is in his office, and Rosalind comes up to him and says that she made tea and he can rest. The guy just nods after this, and the girl gets angry and claims that they will have a break, so if he continues, he will collapse from exhaustion. But Philip then says he still has much to do. Rosalind claims Hepburn's slave trading organization has been completely destroyed and the mountains are in his hands. He also made an agreement with a master who makes magic stones, so the girl asks where he is in such a hurry. The guy then claims that even if Hepburn's organization is destroyed, this does not mean that the slave system has completely disappeared, and that we need to act on a larger scale. And for this, we need force. And to have it, you need to make a lot of effort, so he doesn't have time to rest. The blonde then becomes depressed and wonders why he is going so far. And could it really be Lyra? But at that very moment, a red-haired lady bursts into the room and screams that the situation is an emergency. A little while later, they come to the main character's room, and Ellie claims that she came to wake her up because it was already lunchtime and she still hadn't entered the workshop, but she doesn't wake up. At this time, Rosalind says that maybe she is just sleeping like before. And the lady with red hair replies that if she doesn't answer now, everything is different, and she shook her, but she doesn't wake up. At this time, Philip claims that this is indeed strange, after which he turns to Rosalind and tells her to call a doctor, to which the girl replies that she understands. The guy also turns to Ellie and asks if she has recently made stones with healing powers, to which the girl replies that yes, and Philip claims that he will cover the costs of this, let her bring everything. The woman then says that they definitely could be useful, so she immediately runs away and claims that she will bring them right now. After which Philip turns to Lady Lyra, but then notices that tears are appearing in her eyes. The young man immediately cries out to her in alarm, asking her to wake up. The protagonist then opens her eyes, and the young man asks if Lady Lyra is all right. The main character asks if it is Philip, after which the guy replies that yes, it is him. Lyra immediately hugs him and cries out that she's made it back. Philip then asks Lady Lyra in surprise what happened. After this, the main character simply sobs. At this point, the red-haired lady returns to the room and claims to have brought the stones. But then she also asks if the girl has woken up, and she asks why they're hugging. The guy then tries to say something. Well, the main character just jumps on Ellie and screams her name. The girl then asks what happened to her. A little while later, the main character is already sitting barely alive, and Ellie asks how they should understand this, since she hasn't slept all this time. But she still insists it's not surprising after that incident. Meanwhile, Philip turns to the fairy and claims it's the tea that helps you sleep. And if that doesn't work, she can ask the doctor for a sleeping pill. Meanwhile, the main character asks Philip if he's forgotten who she is and is using magic to create a sleeping pill. The guy then says that it is true, but if it is hard for her, he asks her to tell him. He might not be of any use, but at least he'll be there. The heroine then turns to Philip, touched, but at the same moment, the blonde lady insists that they will too. Rosalind says that Ellie and she will always be there. And there's that man who was with her when she came to rescue her. The main character then asks if she's talking about Piana. The lady with the blonde hair claims that she doesn't know his name, but most likely. Lyra realizes that a lot of time has passed since their last meeting, and she also remembers how the guy asked her to promise that she would come back, so she thinks that he is waiting for her. The young man collapses on the bed, wondering when the girl will come. At that very moment, he hears someone's voice. It turns out that it's the main character, and she's wondering how he is, which is why the guy is surprised and wonders what she's been doing all this time. Lyra apologizes and claims that she had a lot to think about, after which she congratulates the guy. After all, he's become stronger, and she heard that he's awakened the power of a dragon within himself. The guy then asks how she knows, to which the young lady replies that isn't it natural after all? She is a great fairy. But the guy then says, well, he was just thinking of surprising her. The main character then hands him the stone and says it's a gift. It's a healing magic stone, and it doesn't give eternal life, but she thinks that this stone will be useful to him. The young man then thanks the lady, and she turns to Pian and affirms. The young man wishes him only happiness, then asks why she suddenly says this, and the girl insists that she wants him to always eat healthy and tasty food and also look at everything beautiful. Training is good, of course, but let him not forget about rest, and also to be surrounded only by good people. Falling in love is also possible, but let him be careful with the girl who has short golden hair and green eyes. Well, the young man then screams in shock for her to wait and asks what she's saying, because the girl speaks as if she's saying goodbye forever. After which the main character becomes a little depressed, but still turns to Pian and tells him not to wait for her anymore. After this, the guy, in shock, asks why and what is happening, and also why she is doing this. Lyra claims that she had a dream, but then realizes that it was more likely reality. She spent half a day in Lyra's body in her dreams, but a whole week in reality. One day, someone told her to at least smile. They were taking photos, after all. Well, then someone said that maybe it was worth leaving her thing. What difference does it make to anything else? He replied that he agreed. After which these two took pictures, and one of them claimed that everyone insisted that they visit, so they came. But the girl looks healthy. After which one of them turns to the girl and says she's just pretending and maybe thinking she's trying to save money. Then one of them yells at her, "Why is she always on her phone?" and asks her not to ignore them. But his friend then suggests that they go, and the guy then asks why they came at all. The main character was almost crying at this time and wondered why she had returned and whether it was because she had already saved the main character and also because she had used her power as she wanted and because she had run away from her family. Or maybe it was all just her imagination. The girl also thought it was impossible and wanted to go back. And she also asked to be returned to that world. Every day she cried and prayed for his return, and finally it happened, so after that she became afraid to fall asleep. Lyra pinched her hand so that she wouldn't want to sleep, and the girl wondered where sleep was, at the hospital or in this room. But both worlds are too realistic, and perhaps she's traveling between them. The girl also wonders what the conditions are for entering these worlds, and she drew conclusions, realizing that the current her cannot control this process without knowing anything, and there is no point if they are not there. And especially, what will happen to Pion. Her brother's boyfriend constantly asks what kind of dream it is and whether she's going somewhere, and the girl then replies that she was given a message to return to the world of fairies. Her burden screams that she is lying, because she always justifies herself with this when she does not know what to answer. Lyra turns around and says that if he doesn't want to, then he doesn't have to believe it, but even then he will change for her because she won't come there anymore. But the young man then grabs the lady by the hand and tells her to take him with her, because he will go with her anywhere. The main character then tells him not to be capricious and asks what will happen to Madame Madeline. After Togo, the guy claims he understands she doesn't need him, but he doesn't want her to leave. The main character then suggests they come to an agreement. After all, when he becomes happy, she will come to him. The guy then asks what it means to be happy, and the young lady insists that they will meet then. If he can find happiness, then he will no longer be attached to her and will link his fate with a person who is worthy of it, and perhaps even forget her, so now the main character asks if he agrees. Well, the guy claims that she is asking for the impossible, that she won't be there. After which the girl claims that a person is a creature that can forget everything and let him try too. The young man then tells her not to think that he will always wait for her, to which the girl replies that she knows, after which she says goodbye to him. But when she teleports, the guy claims that if she doesn't come to him, then he will definitely come to her. 5 years have passed since then, and a man is walking through the snow when he falls. He wonders if this is how he'll die. Well, then someone else comes up to him and asks if it's that uncle again, after which the girl heals him and tells him to wake up. And she asks if he's alive. A little while later, the main character pours him a cappuccino. He also claims that's why she told him to use magical teleportation stones, but he insists he can't waste such expensive stones on such a journey. And for them, accustomed to such a distance, it's no problem at all to travel on their own. At this time, the lady with red hair says that they haven't seen Noah for a long time. The main character asks if Ellie has been working all night again, to which she replies that yes, she has been teaching others the art of making magic stones, fulfilling and sending a bunch of orders, and also this time they gave her a special order so she has no time to sleep. Noah then claims that this way the girl will get to heaven faster than him, but he is only interested in how things are going for Noah. The guy replies that he received an order to make healing stones, and at first he was scared, but it turned out very well, and the Berrien family was delighted. Ellie's approach also produces only the best artists, and yet her work is a huge success, selling extremely well. It was also a great idea to introduce her own engraving sign on the stone, because a stone with her image of a rose can be sold to anyone and for as much as she wants. The woman then says that this is the basics of doing business and the rich always want something special, after which she also says that the guy came because of an order, and this time the order is for His Majesty the Chiron Empire. The main character is thinking about His Majesty Chiron at this time, and he remembers the guy with black hair. Noah asks what kind of magic it is, and the woman replies that this is magic with the help of which the ring gives out clothes when he is naked. and they turn into a dragon, so while they are in this form, they have no clothes on, and when they turn back into people, this is problematic and also in order to maintain the privacy of individuals. After this, the main character thinks that Pion is also turning into a dragon, and that this guy only ordered the ring for himself. And this idiot constantly walks around half naked but is embarrassed by his nether regions, so she herself will protect Pion. After which, the girl turns to the lady with red hair and asks her to do the same for her. Elijah asks why, as she doesn't need it. Lyra replies that she doesn't need it, but the other one does, after which the woman says, maybe she has a boyfriend, but the main character just tells her to make this ring already. The lady with red hair then says yes, and she will do it when she has time. Noah then claims that he will probably go, and the woman says that he definitely will, and also that he should keep the documents and be careful when he returns, and let him not dare lose the ring, Vitya. It's worth 12 like him, after which the guy claims that he understood. The main character asks if she should walk him to Hepburn. Then the man asks, is she sure and is she allowed to go there? The main character then says that it's not just that she can't. She also understands that 4.5 years ago, she broke off all ties with Pian, and after this time, he came to Philip and asked where she was. Philip then asked what the guy was talking about, but he replied that he was talking about her fairy savior, and he asked again where she was. The guy then thought he didn't understand what was going on, but it was better not to say where she was, after which he decided to pretend that he didn't know and claimed that in fact he didn't know, and that he wasn't in such a relationship with her that he would know her whereabouts. Pian then said something like this, and Philip then sighed and realized that they had just seen each other a few days ago, after which he had claimed that this girl was very busy. But after that, Pian grabbed the guy by the shirt and claimed that the smell remained, and since he doesn't want to answer him nicely, then so be it, after which he gave Philip's first and last name. And some magical symbols appeared on the guy's neck, Pian claimed. That this is the dragon's covenant, and he answered his call, so as long as he does not try to harm him, they will be friends. And he will not touch him, and he must also greet him every time he appears. But Philip then asks how he did it so quickly, after which the guy invites Philip to be friends, which shocks him. After this, Pion began to constantly visit him, and even began to visit her, so she also began to keep her distance from Philip, and thus, now she rarely visits Hepburn. Of course, she's worried, but the letter said that Pion hadn't come once in a year, so it probably wouldn't be a big deal if she dropped in to see them. The main character then turns to Ellie and claims that she went along with it, to which the woman agrees, and then the main character teleports. After this, Ellie decides to go to bed, but suddenly hears someone knocking on the door and thinks that if it was a stranger, he would have fallen into a trap, and besides Noah, no one comes to them. After which, the lady opens the door and asks who's there. When she sees the man in the robe, she's surprised. By this time, the main character has already found herself in another place. Noah claims that magic is indeed convenient, but at that moment the girl is pierced by a strong pain in her chest. The man immediately screams out, "What's wrong?" and "Fine," after which she replies that she has a sudden heart attack. But the man insists that it's a problem. Lyra claims that everything is really fine because the doctor said he didn't see anything serious. But the man then tells the lady not to overexert herself, and that he'll go get the cart, and she should sit there quietly. Lyra insists that it wasn't worth it. But Noah replies that it's impossible, because she has to obey the adults. A little while later, they're already riding in a carriage, and the main character claims that she thought it would be a magnificent carriage. The man replies that the main thing is that there is transport, after which the main character says what a greedy man he is, but then the girl thinks that maybe it's even better this way. At this time, the guy asks how she likes the city and whether it really has just changed. To which the girl replies that yes, and there are more people, after which she asks when he managed to become like that. Noah responds that significant changes became noticeable about 2 years ago, but the main precipitating factor was an event 3 years ago. The protagonist asks what that event was 3 years ago. The man asks the lady if she knows that Philip has become a baron, and the main character says yes. And of course she remembers, because she helped him set up the salt business back then. Noah says yes, and Philip used this evidence to blackmail the Count. The Count, of course, didn't want to give up his life, so he quickly complied with Philip's demands. The Count then claimed he was wrong, and that Roland wasn't a traitor at all. Of course, the Count got what he deserved, but it was still better than being executed. The main character thinks that selling salt is an execution, but enslaving people is outside the law, and she sees no logic in it at all. The man claims that since then, there have been more people on the territory of Rolance, and those who could not withstand further pressure from the Count all fled to Rolance to seek refuge from the dictator. Philip welcomed them warmly and provided them with work and housing. Such situations usually lead to discord between territories, but the Count, with no other choice, was unable to do anything. Thus, both his power and his territory crumbled, and now everyone lives happily there. The main character claims that this means Philip is a good manager, to which he replies, "Of course. In the southern part, people have practically never worked, but life in the city is flourishing like never before. The children are playing, and he has never seen a child in despair, and it's all thanks to Philip." The main character smiles afterward and realizes she feels like she's being praised too, and that it's a good thing she saved him back then. At that very moment, the two hear someone scream. When the main character turns around, she sees a large wolf and asks what it is. Noah claims it's no ordinary wolf, that it's a demon, after which he curses it out loud and insists he didn't bring a magic stone to deal with such creatures this time. He also asks if the lady can help, to which she replies that she would be happy to, but he is too big to use wind magic, and if she makes the wrong move, the residents could get hurt, so he needs to stop. However, when the wolf is about to run up to another guy, the guy just raises his hand, after which the wolf suddenly stops. The protagonist realizes this is her chance, so she lifts the boulder into the sky and immediately throws it at the wolf. The villagers are surprised and ask if the boulder really came from the sky and if this is God's punishment. One of the men approaches the boy who was almost beaten by the wolf and asks if Leon is okay, but the woman claims that the boy was literally a hair's breadth away from falling into eternal sleep. Someone else asks if this wolf is already dead, and someone else answers that of course, because a stone of that size fell on him. The blue-haired boy looks at the main character and then smiles. Lyra immediately suggests they get out of there quickly, which surprises Noah a little. He also claims that it is strange that the demon stopped so abruptly, and the main character understands that it was not of his will. After all, it was that guy with blue hair who did it. He's the most unpredictable character in the series Dragon and Empire. He's the blue dragon, Daniel Destoria. The main character also wonders why he's there, and she gets a bad feeling from his gaze. A little while later, Noah confirms that they've arrived. Meanwhile, the main character is talking about what a nice house they've moved into. Noah claims the guy was given the villa as collateral, but the main character asks how anyone can live in that house like that, to which the man replies, "Why don't you answer? He'll end up owning it anyway." Usually he is good, but when he needs to become simply unbearable, he is a master at this, and now there are many who fall for his tricks. Lyra then says she's even scared, and the man insists that most people who even think of dealing with his bank are inexperienced fools. Noah also insists that he'll go into the warehouse and let the girl go first, to which she agrees. A little while later, the lady knocks on Philip's office door and says that they haven't seen each other for a long time. The guy is surprised after this and asks why she's coming in through the window and what she's doing there anyway, since she shouldn't be there. However, the main character says that instead of a joyful meeting, he'll scold her. And he was nicer before, after which the guy is a little surprised and also inhales and claims that of course he is glad. After all, they haven't seen Lady Lyra in a long time. Still, Philip insists it's very risky, because what if Lady Lyra crosses paths with this guy? The main character tells the guy not to worry, because even if they do cross paths, nothing will happen to her. Philip also says that of course he won't raise his hands against her, the movie can bind him by a contract, because he always appears unexpectedly, and as soon as he forgets about him, this guy is right there. And now he has a phobia of people with silver hair and blue eyes. The main character thinks it's a good thing she didn't tell this guy her name, but she also claims he hasn't been around for a while, to which he replies that he hasn't been around for about a year. Well, he doesn't think he's given up searching and has probably found another way. The main character's a little downcast after this, but then someone else turns to Lady Lyra and says that it turns out she is there. The main character then asks in shock if it's really Rosalina. The girl replies yes and says they haven't seen each other in a while, but but she heard from Noah that the lady had returned and immediately came running, and yet the fairy is still just as lovely. The main character then says that Rosalina has become a beauty and asks if she can now call her Lady Rosalina. The girl then smiles and thanks him, but claims she thinks it's because she's eating well, unlike when she was a slave. The main character then thinks that she too eats well, and the blonde then asks if the lady would like to have dinner together today, since there are many delicious places there. Lyra immediately says she'll go, but Philip yells at her to wait, saying it's too dangerous and he might be watching. Rosalind wonders if Philip has already forgotten how strong Lady Lyra is, but the guy insists that even that is impossible. He then claims he'll order food from any establishment, so they'll eat at home. A little while later, the main character asks if the school has really become that big. The blonde replies that yes, and at first she only taught math and reading, but after thinking about the children's future, she decided to expand this direction, and now they have 18 of them. The main character says how wonderful it is, and that Rosalina has a whole academy. The blonde then says it's all thanks to the children who kept coming. But Philip says that she is mistaken, because she sat at night and worked thinking over the curriculum, and during the day she looked after the teachers and took care of the children, so not everyone can do this, and she should be more proud of herself. The girl is embarrassed by this and says that it's enough because she's shy, but the guy asks if this is something to be embarrassed about. The main character understands that in her absence, they have become closer, and for Rosalina this is an advantage, so the main character says that the two of them are right for each other. However, Philip claims that they are not in that kind of relationship. After which the main character says, okay, well, the guy claims that it's true. Rosalind, meanwhile, addresses Lady Lyra and says she has a request. The protagonist asks what it is. The blonde insists she wants graduates to take over the management of the trading company Roland's. Well, Lyra asks, aren't there many of them? The girl replies that yes, but they are led by people from other countries. In the southern part, an aristocratic family has taken over several companies, so she asks if the lady thinks that's too much. So she taught the children everything they needed to know about the trade, and she herself learned a lot too. The main character thinks, wow, this girl looks weak from the outside, but inside she has a strong spirit. People shouldn't be judged by their appearance after all. However, the blonde insists they have knowledge but no experience, so she wanted them to at least go on tours to other retail companies and tried to secure this with money, but many refused. The main character understands that as far as she remembers, this man was indeed like that, and everything in the matter with the magic stones was the same. The blonde says she wanted Lady Lyra. However, Philip interrupts her and insists that's impossible. Rosalind insists she hasn't said anything yet, but the guy replies that she'll still ask for something dangerous. The lady with the blonde hair answers that no, because she just wants Lady Lyra to bring an accounting book from another company, but the guy claims that this is quite dangerous, and she understands that this is trespassing on someone else's territory. Rosalind claims that a mere human couldn't handle something like that, but Lady Lyra can, and she simply wants what's best for her. The boy insists that's no reason to send Norilsk to Lady Lyra, but the blonde then asks why not, since she fulfilled his request to steal. The guy doesn't even know what to say after that and clenches his fists. Well, then the main character stands between these two and tells them to avoid fighting because she will take this book for the girl, after which the lady thanks her. But Philip replies that such things are strictly guarded if you don't answer. The main character insists that everything is fine, as she already has experience and will quickly handle it. A little while later, the girl thinks that now she wants to hit the one who agreed. Now a guy with blue hair approaches her and claims he was wondering who was wandering around there. It turns out they've met again, so the young man bids the mouse good evening. The main character realizes she should run, and then immediately turns around. The blue-haired boy screams for her to wait, then grabs her clothes, but the girl is already starting to teleport, and in the end, the guy is left with a torn piece of clothing. Lyra is outside at this time, but she feels her heart sink again and wonders what's wrong with her. After which, the girl heals herself and sighs, saying she should leave Hepburn as soon as possible. A short while later, she's already placing a pile of papers on the table. The blonde is then surprised by their number, and the main character says that these papers are from as many as 8 companies. The lady with the blonde hair then thanks Lady Lyra and claims that it's a piece of cake. after which Rosalind claims she hurried to school. But the main character insists it's nighttime now, and the woman insists that day and night make no difference for school. She also wishes the two good night, and the main character claims she hasn't done this in a long time. But after the blonde leaves, Philip asks if the ladies are okay. The main character replies of course, and asks who he thinks she is. She also realizes she's panicked a little, but oh well. Philip then says that Rosalina is very kind and lenient, especially to children who try hard, but she is also too stubborn and almost impossible to convince. In relation to Lady Lyra, she will try to extract maximum benefit, so let her not fulfill her requests. The guy also notices the girl's torn clothes and says that they are especially dangerous. The main character asks if the clothes are really torn, and she didn't even notice, after which she claims that most likely it just got caught somewhere, so he shouldn't pay attention. But Philip claims that nothing lasts forever, and this also applies to ladies, because if she doesn't eat, she'll get stomach problems, and if she doesn't sleep, she'll be constantly tired. And if he overexerts himself, he will break his heart, which makes the main character surprised and wonders where he found out from, and also wonders if the guy she arrived with really told him. Philip claims that it was he who recommended the doctor to her, and the main character understands what it means when the doctor who examined her then shares information about patients without his knowledge and wears confidentiality anyway. Lyra also claims that since he heard, he knows that she has no problems, and if she gets hurt, it will be her choice, so the girl suggests closing this topic. Well, Philip claims he distinctly remembers those days when the lady couldn't wake up. The main character then asks why he suddenly brought it up. The young man claims that Rosalind could have done without these papers, although it would have taken more time to study them. But this cannot be compared with Lady Lyra's health and her life. So Philip wonders why she's also sacrificing herself. At that very moment, they hear someone shout that entry is prohibited without permission, but then he's completely surprised. Then men in robes enter the room, and Philip immediately covers the young lady and asks who they are. The protagonist wonders what's going on there and whether it could be Pion. So the man takes off his cape and the girl realizes it's Christopher. She wonders why His Highness is there. Meanwhile, the man turns to Lyra and asks how she's doing. Philip then asks if the girl really knows him, to which she replies that yes, but in her thoughts, she adds that he is her father. Christopher at this time claims that he has a private conversation with the two of them, and the main character thinks that all this time he didn't care, so what happened now? After all, he brought such a crowd of people, which means the matter is not simple, and she should not involve Philip in this. The heroine immediately takes the boy by the hand, which surprises him a little, and the young lady says they must run. She begins to use her magic, but the emperor orders them captured. After which, one of the servants wraps a whip around the lady's hand. Philip immediately asks if Lady Lyra is all right, and the girl asks what's going on, after which he says, "What are they doing? Let them let her out." However, His Majesty tells the boy to rest and then begins to use magic. The main character sees the boy fall and wonders why she can't use magic. His Majesty claims that this guy and the red-haired girl are good friends, and that thanks to her, things have gotten pretty tough. The main character then asks what they did to Ellie, to which the man replies that they only put her to sleep, just like the other guy. Lyra thinks that thank God he is just sleeping, but he claims that the emperor did nothing when she ran away, so what does he want from her now? The man claims that he really didn't expect her to escape, but then he realized that it would be better for her and didn't intend to meet with her until the time came. Lyra wonders what time he's talking about and wants to know, but what if he realizes she has no memories of the past? Christopher claims he didn't think it would lead to such a problem, but he was wrong. He then takes out a pocket watch and claims it's so broken. The main character wonders what it is, after which the man claims it's her heart and it's breaking. Lyra is shocked and wonders what he just said. The man insists that she won't immediately fall into eternal sleep, but will have to wait a little longer, after which he asks if he can examine her. The main character only gets angry about this and understands that her hand is now tied up, and he also asks her permission, but she still can't use magic. However, then the girl says that he can do as he wants, after which the man takes her hand in his and begins to use magic. The girl understands that she has a feeling as if something is passing through her body, and it is very unpleasant, but the emperor tells her to sit still, after which he says that this is how she fell under the magic a long time ago. Although it wasn't noticeable before, the man wonders if it was activated after that, because then he understands. The main character asks if he can explain it to her, to which he replies that he still does. The man asks how much she knows about magic and whether she studied with anyone, to which the girl replies that she does not, and also understands that she already had a good command of it. The emperor then says he'll have to explain the basics. The paper in the heart contains magic, and if you overexert yourself, it will negatively affect the heart. It's not a problem if you need to recover a bit, but the body contains very strong magic, and that's a problem. The main character asks why. The man replies that magic has the ability to repel other magic, and there wouldn't be any problems if she didn't have any magic or if it were weak. There's a conflict going on inside her right now, and her power and the magic inflicted on her heart constantly clash. This struggle destroys her. The protagonist claims to have largely understood and wonders if it's possible to simply remove the magic. The man replies that it won't work that easily because it's quite complex magic and he doesn't fully understand what it is. He only knows that it's connected to teleportation magic. So the main character asks where, to which he replies that he can't say because he doesn't know. Well, if she doesn't take it off, the main character asks if she'll fall into eternal sleep. After which, the man places his hand on her head and declares that he wants her to live. The young lady is surprised and wonders what he's doing. He never cared about her. This man pretended not to see how she was being bullied, and the girl wondered if he was one of those who protects from the shadows. At this time, another servant tells the lady to give her hand, and Christopher claims that heart disease can be cured with magic, but in her case it will not work, because if you try, they will only make it worse, and her heart will end. All she can do now is control her magic. But only he and Helen can help her. So the man says he'll save her and let her return to the imperial palace. The main character replies that she doesn't want to. The emperor tells her not to bring the one she's with on the street yet, because trouble will follow. The protagonist then asks what he's talking about, but the man teleports away and says he's expecting her tomorrow. After which, all these people disappear and only one servant remains, after which he turns to the lady and bows, and states that he will also leave her. Then he turns and runs away. The main character wonders why he's on foot and who the hell is that man on the street, but at that very moment, someone opens the window and claims to have spotted him. The blue-haired boy apologizes and claims that he didn't mean to eavesdrop, after which the main character realizes that it is Daniel. But the girl doesn't understand how he ended up there, and she used teleportation magic twice to escape him. Dragons can certainly use forbidden magic, but then the girl remembers what the emperor said. All he knows now is that it's related to teleportation magic. The dragon approaches the young lady and claims it's unpleasant when she runs away without even saying hello. And the protagonist wonders if this is his doing, after which she asks if the man knows her. The young man then says that she is Lyra de Beriana, and the main character wonders if this is a pact with the dragon and immediately cries out, asking if it was he who cast the magic on her. If so, he should remove it quickly. But the young man insists it wasn't him. After which Lyra screams at him not to lie, because how else could he have gotten there? The young man claims he followed her scent, and the protagonist asks if that's really true, after which the young man replies that he did. He also takes a piece of clothing out of his pocket and claims to have a very good sense of smell, asking why the girl doesn't know him. The main character then thinks she should have been more careful, while the guy says, okay, and maybe she didn't recognize him because he's in this guise. After which the guy transforms and asks if the lady remembered. The main character is surprised. She remembers how the guy addressed her by name and also asked how she would become happy. The girl wonders if these are Lyra's memories, and then falls to the floor. The dragon then tells the girl to hold on and cries out her name. He also turns around and asks what to do, because he needs to call a doctor, but then the main character comes to her senses and pulls the guy by the ponytail, and also says that it's not worth it, and she just felt a little dizzy, after which he says, that's how it is. And the girl hasn't changed at all, because everything still makes her anxious. The main character, looking at this guy, is a little surprised, but then she starts thinking about why her heart is pounding now in this feeling. It's like that first love. Daniel insists the girl's face is red and asks if she's okay. The main character screams that her heart isn't feeling well, so he shouldn't come near her. After this, the guy only asks why she is shy, and he feels sad. Then the young man transforms into another form and asks how things are now, after which the girl understands that she has calmed down and also says that it is better this way because it seems as if he is a childhood friend. Lyra then says that she is glad that they met and thinks that she doesn't want to anymore, after which she apologizes but says that she doesn't have time today, so could he please come back. Daniel insists there's nothing he can do, then turns around and insists it's late so he'll go, but then the main character turns to him and tells him to wait. After which she hands him the ring and claims that it helps to pull out clothes, so she gives it to him. Well, the young man claims he has nothing to give in return, after which the main character says it's for making him worry. Lyra realizes she wanted to give it to Pion, but she'll just ask Ellie to do more, and this recent episode is starting to interest her. The guy then smiles, pats the lady on the head, and thanks her. He also says she's so kind and says he'll treasure the ring, then says goodbye. The main character then becomes embarrassed and says yes, but wonders what is wrong with her. A short time later, she carries Philip to the bed and covers him. She realizes he doesn't seem to be hurt anywhere, but he won't wake up, and healing magic isn't helping. So she wonders if her only option is to turn to the Empire. The protagonist then sighs, but realizes she's unable to process what's happening and wonders if her heart is stopping. She also wonders if she should trust him at all, and if maybe he just wants her back. But the girl also wonders why only now, and even says things like he wants her to live. The young lady then screams, "What is this? She's about to explode." But then Philip begins to come to his senses and turns to Lady Lyra. The protagonist immediately runs up to him and asks if he's awake. Well, he just takes the lady's hair and says he's so glad she's okay. After that, he also says he'll get some more sleep and passes out. The main character wonders if he is talking in his sleep, after which he sighs and also understands that she needs to think calmly. After all, if the Emperor himself intervened, it means it's serious, and it's not just her problem. But then the girl wonders if she's forgotten something. A short time later, the red-haired lady claims she thought she'd fall into eternal sleep. She once sold a mermaid fish deodorant and nearly drowned, so she thought she was already in the afterlife. The protagonist wonders what she was thinking. After which she also apologizes because Ellie suffered because of her, but the girl tells her to stop because you need to apologize when you are guilty of something. So the girl wonders why the lady is asking her forgiveness now. After all, whoever he is, the Emperor or whoever, it doesn't matter to her. She'll sort it out, but he should have come sooner for his beloved princess. The main character then asks the girl how she knows, and she replies that she started noticing from the very beginning. And she did say that healing and creation were skills reserved for members of the Barine family. Well, she thought the girl wasn't from the imperial family just because she didn't have green eyes. And when a handsome man with green eyes came for her, she was finally convinced. She didn't care whether she was a princess or a wife. She would still have to do her job diligently. The main character then claims that tomorrow she'll have to be in the palace for a while, and she won't be able to help her during that time. The man with red hair then claims she guessed, but wonders why it's temporary, and whether she's not being returned permanently. Lyra replies that when everything calms down, she'll return because she doesn't want to be there. The red-haired lady then turns to Lyra and asks if she knows that she's the most skilled and attractive craftswoman of the finest magical stones. The main character replies that yes, she thinks she'll never change in that regard. Ellie then says that if anything happens, she should always come to her. And if she runs away again and ends up alone, she'll be able to provide for her. The main character then smiles and asks if it's true and if she'll take it back later. The woman then merely wonders who the girl thinks she is. And the next day, the red-haired lady wakes up and thinks her head is splitting. And she drank too much at the farewell party last night. The girl then also wonders where Lyra went, but when she goes into one of the rooms, she sees boxes with something there. After which she comes closer and thinks whether there is magic in these stones and whether the girl made all these boxes that night. Looking at them, the red-haired lady asserts that she is now simply obliged to support her. The main character is at the palace at this time. One of the maids greets her and says her name is Hannah Estelle and that it's an honor to be her servant. Lyra then says, "Aha," and wonders if this is really the same private palace, since it's changed so much. The maid replies that yes, there was no one there for a long time, so His Highness was doing the restoration himself. The main character wonders if he really did it himself. But the maid claims that the magic of creation is magnificent, because in just one day he is completely new both inside and out. Lyra realizes she'd completely forgotten that he too could use high-level magic. She wonders if it's because she's been the only one around her who's been content with it. The maid asks if she'd like to give the lady a tour, and Lyra agrees. As they walk through the palace, the maid claims that His Majesty suddenly appeared to her yesterday and offered to become a lady's servant. She thought long and hard about it, but decided it was a 1 in a million chance. Their family is quite low status, and they don't have any connections in the capital, so becoming a servant was her dream. The main character thinks this girl is nice, but she's such a chatterbox. Just like a high school student during recess. The maid, at this time, claims that she will really try, and Lyra understands that she likes this type more than some arrogant aristocrat. Hannah also asks if the lady thinks she is lucky, because the emperor personally took care of the palace and chose the servants, so as far as she remembers, the lady is very dear to him. The maid also says that it is a little sad outside and that it is a pity about that beautiful table, but when the main character looks at it, she is a little surprised. The maid asks if it looks unusual, as the table looks like a birdcage. She didn't notice it at first either, because everything around it was overgrown. As she knows, creation magic doesn't apply to living things, so it will take time to restore it to its presentable appearance. At this time, the main character remembers how she was little and turned to her daddy Highness, and also claimed that she learned a new song. Her mother addressed Lyra and insisted that he was the current ruler of the country, so she should call him His Majesty or Father. The girl then said that he was her father, so he could be called Her Highness. The man claimed that he partly agreed, and before becoming a father he became a ruler. That's why he was called Daddy for the first time, and he thanked the girl. Now the main character is surprised, and wonders if these are the girl's memories again. But what is this peaceful atmosphere? They are like family. The maid asks the lady if she's okay, and if she's feeling unwell, but the girl replies that she's fine and just tired. Hannah then replies that the lady has indeed returned from the north. She was told that she had been going to the academy in the northern part all this time, and the main character thinks that this is how he explained her absence for 6 years. After which, she says yes, and the maid asks how it is there, and also if there are many handsome guys. She also asks the lady which one she prefers, hot or cold, to which the main character replies that she doesn't even know. The maid then insists that the one who takes first place is definitely the handsome one. This is Pian hired. They say he's the perfect guy, and the girl asks if she knows him. The main character realizes she'd happily talk about him until the early hours, but not this time. After which the lady with a smile on her face says that no, she has not met him, and also asks if he is really that handsome. But the maid then claims that she thinks they'll see each other soon because he's returned there. Lyra wonders if Pian has really arrived in Bariana. The maid says it's true, and the lady doesn't know because she's away, so she'll explain now. His Excellency, Duke Hayward, sent a letter saying he wants to transfer his status to his son, but on the condition that his mother also returns. The main character thinks that this damn old man used them again, and Hannah claims that they say she still has doubts, but most likely she will give consent since the child's future depends on it. The maid also asks how the Duke has the audacity to do this, since the reason for her leaving was betrayal on his part and there is no one who does not know about it, since even she, in a distant village, found out about it. But Hannah insists it's strange she hasn't gotten a divorce yet, because if she were in this woman's shoes, she would have done so long ago. The protagonist understands that even a woman wouldn't get a divorce, and that's why her sadness is so intense. And Hannah claims that as a girl, she would like to support her, because if a man cheats once, he can do it again. The protagonist replies that she agrees, and that sometimes it's even better not to see each other. At this time, the Empress is in the garden with Helen. The woman claims they haven't spent this much time together in a long time. Her interlocutor apologizes and claims her schedule has been completely full lately, after which the Empress claims she understands, as she's the kind of child who dives headfirst into anything. Well, let the girl also be careful, because there are plenty of envious people and she has only one desire, and she knows it herself. After all, she doesn't care what the lady does. Just let her not bother her. Helen is silent after this, but still answers yes and accepts the rose from the Empress. The woman then smiles and says that, by the way, the girl has returned. She also heard that His Highness personally oversaw the palace renovations and staffing. And at first he sent her north, and now he's taking care of her again, but it was she who protected and supported him too. She also gave birth to a very strong child, and she needed to put her into eternal sleep along with her mother. So Helen turns to Her Majesty and tells her to calm down. After all, Sienna is no more. The woman then says that she certainly did fall into eternal sleep at the moment of the attempted poisoning of the princess. It won't be easy to put this girl into eternal sleep. At this time, the main character is in the Emperor's office, and he claims that, as he already said, magic denies other magic, and they begin their confrontation, but healing magic is an exception. She has the ability to obey and can easily accept other magic. She can also use it to put someone to sleep or detect other magic. The main character then says that she didn't know healing magic was capable of such a thing. The man claims that, of course, she didn't really learn how to use it, and the girl is wasting her magical power too irrationally. The same thing happens when she buys something for 100 copper coins, when she can get it for 1, and the main character thinks what it is. The man claims that he does not argue that she can handle her powers, but the more she uses them in excessive quantities, the worse it will be for herself. So the lady should be careful. He then hands her the bracelet and tells her to take it. The girl then says the jewelry doesn't press at all, but wonders why she can't take it off. The man claims that there is no point if she could take it off, because he will take it off if necessary, and the main character wonders if she is really in captivity. Lyra also wonders if this is what was on her hand then, to which the man replies that yes, it is made from lapatanos juice and also blocks magic. The main character then asks if this is the same tree from the legend, but the man replies that it's not just a legend, because the tree is located in the east of the country, and lapatanos is the magic of Pliata. The magic of Pliata flows in the room, and he can't use it in Lapatanos. The main character says that this is because she repels other magic, and the man replies that everything is correct. And in general, this is secret information, because if someone else finds out about this, they will immediately want to cut down the tree, and the main character says that he himself is spreading this information, after which she asks nothing but that he is now telling her about it. The Emperor claims that Helen knows too, and he thinks that the lady could do with it. The main character wonders if she really knows about the man who claims that Helen is a talented child, and that she herself feels the power of Lapatanos, so she guessed about it herself. Well, the young lady then says that maybe she shouldn't have told her, since she's not competing with her. Lyra also understands that the more she knows, the worse it will be. The Emperor claims Helen has a different opinion of her because she's wary of the lady and considers her a rival. The protagonist then asks why, and the man claims that this is because she already knows that the lady possesses magic. At this time, Helen returns to the palace and the maids greet her, but then they see that the lady's hand has turned blue. After which one of the maids asks if something has happened and also screams for a doctor to be brought. Well, the lady claims that everything is fine, after which she heals her hand and also says that now everything is fine and they can also go. One of the maids then says yes, and then they leave. Helen only sighs and then looks at the rose. She also recalls how one lady told the girl not to be shy and to try this tea, so now she just looks at the black rose and thinks how stupid she is. A little while later, the guy claims that his name is Ifpin, and that he has been entrusted with protecting the lady. The main character then says that it was him that time, after which the guy apologizes for that incident, and Lyra tells him not to pay attention, because it was an order. The guy then states that he will try to stay out of the way as much as possible and let the lady call him if she needs anything. There was also an order from His Highness for the lady to be present at the family fishing, and the main character asks what if she doesn't want to. The guy claims that, of course, it is possible to refuse, but it is advisable to be present for at least 30 minutes, so he asks to accept the offer. The main character thinks that she still wanted to talk to Philip, but she also doesn't want to worsen the relationship between the Imperials. At this time, the maid tells the lady to rely on them because the outfits are already prepared, and the main character claims that she has not yet given her consent. After which the two look at her with pleading eyes, the girl agrees. A short time later, she's already at the table. One of the ladies says that it looks like Princess Lyra is suited for life in the village. You can see that even her complexion has improved. And another claims that the air in the northern part is good, and outdoor games are allowed at the academy. The main character realizes that she meant that the girl, without fear, only played and didn't study at all. At this time, the Empress claims that, as far as she knows, there are markets there where common people can go. And the main character thinks in why the places were distributed exactly like this, and she is also next to Helen. At this time, the lady with pink hair claims that, by the way, Duke Haerun from the Kingdom of Mare studies at the academy, so the girl asks if the lady has seen him. Well, after this, the main character asks who it is, and one of the women claims that she is not surprised, because the Duke would not bother with her kind. The lady with pink hair then says that she thought the girl at least knew a little about high society. After this, the main character only laughs sadly, and also thinks that she hoped that they would not mock her in front of His Highness. But she was wrong. After which the girl also sees how the wind lifts the skirt of one of the maids. The girl immediately apologizes and claims it was the wind. The main character watches all this, wondering if the prince magically lifted the maid's skirt. And why does he use magic anyway? Well, then the girl realizes that she now knows she can detect the magic of others. And the bracelet won't hurt since it's connected to healing magic, after which she uses detection. Lyra sees magic and understands that it is true that the Imperials have magic, although not much. But when she looks at her sister, she thinks, what kind of light is this? And it's so bright. Helen looks at the girl at this point, and their gazes meet. The blonde also insists that the lady shouldn't have returned. If she doesn't want to compete with her, the main character wonders if she really considers her a rival. But she has no desire to have anything to do with the main character at all. After which Lyra asks Helen why she thinks that. But when the girl doesn't answer, she realizes that Helen has completely misunderstood her. Meanwhile, another girl approaches Lyra, claiming she heard she got excellent grades at the academy and that she's completely stupid, so how could she have done this? The main character wonders if His Majesty really orchestrated everything this way. The prince at this time says that it is clear that the academy's managers took care of this, because after all, this girl is a member of the imperial family and she is lucky, even though there is nasty blood mixed in her. After this, Lyra thinks whether they dared to argue with her, and she understands that if Helen says something, but these little upstarts, it's already too much. After which the main character asks her brother why he doesn't think first before speaking. After all, he says this, but weren't there people from the imperial family who studied well before? After which she asks Princess Odelia if this is true. And the guy doesn't realize it. But his previous remark had offended not only her, but the entire imperial family. Lyra thought she'd never learned how to communicate in such situations, but experience taught her. At this point, the guy screams at this damn redneck not to dare underestimate him. After which the main character asks him what he is talking about, because her mother is a commoner, but she is a member of the imperial family. And he doesn't think her mother could have given birth to her alone. Or maybe he's considering another person, which became the reason for her birth. After which the guy claims that under no circumstances. But at the same moment, the Empress turns to her son and asserts that he stands before His Highness, so let him not disgrace her. The guy then deflates and says yes. And the Empress turns to Princess Lyra and claims that she sees the girl has learned interesting things at the academy. But with such abilities, she'll easily gain status in society. The main character thinks there's no way. After which she claims that this will be too heavy a burden for her, and that she is going to return to the north. Helen then asks, a little surprised, if she is going to return, to which she does not respond with the main game, saying that yes, because she wants to do something quiet. And in her mind, she adds that she has no intention of competing with Helen. The Emperor, noticing this, only smiles. A little while later, the girl is already sitting on her bed, and then sees someone appear next to her. It turns out it's the Emperor, and the main character comments on how late he is. The man apologizes, claiming he had urgent matters to attend to. After which the main character tells him to take off the bracelet, and the man says that it looks like she is angry with him. The young lady replies that she has no right to do this, and that he didn't care about her before. The emperor then sighs and says that as far as she knows, it is useless to try to do anything with Arne, because she is a very jealous woman. The main character wonders if he is talking about the empress, and wonders why he cares so much about her. Christopher says that he didn't think the lady would ask him about it, and she has changed a lot. The main character then realizes that she needs to be more careful with her words, and says that they haven't seen each other for 6 years. The man claims he can tell her because they have a contract. Lyra asks if he's talking about the prenuptial agreement, but the man claims that if it's broken, the guilty party will fall into eternal sleep. Arn promised that she would make every effort to ensure that he became emperor, and he promised that she would be empress and that she would have all the rights. Therefore, he cannot make any claims against her because power is essentially in her hands by their agreement. But she cannot simply plunge the girl into eternal sleep. Therefore, the most important thing for all of them is that she does not cross the line of what is permitted. After which, the emperor removes the bracelet from the young lady's hand and says that it is ready, but that she should not behave unreasonably just because he removed the bracelet. Well, at least she can have a little fun. The main character immediately teleports to her friends. Rosalind at the same moment approaches Lyra and claims that she learned everything from Ellie, so she asks if the lady is okay, to which she replies that she is, and asks if Philip has woken up. The blonde replies that yes, he's Noah now, but they haven't returned yet. She'll also let them know. The main character then says that she too wanted to see him, but the red-haired lady asks why she doesn't wait. Lyra replies that she has a time limit. She also approaches Ellie and asks if she could make another ring like that. The woman then cries out in shock, wondering if she's really lost it, to which the girl replies that no, and that she gave it to someone else. Melody with red hair then says there's another guy in her life. The main character says no, but Ellie hands her the ring and claims that it is hers, so she can give it to her and let the girl accept it with gratitude. The main character then thanks her and thinks that she doesn't know yet when she will be able to go out, so it's better to give it to Pian right away, after which the girl says that she will then go and let them tell Philip and Noah so that they don't worry. Then the main character teleports to the Chiron Empire and looks out the window, and also realizes that the light is on there, so what should she do, and should she really come another time? But she doesn't even know when that will be. At the same moment, someone turns to the girl and asks if the bunny really likes to walk on the roof. The guy says they haven't seen each other in a while. When the main character turns around, she thinks it's terrible, because she's caught his eye again and has no choice but to run. At this time, Paris claims that Pian is not there, and the main character asks what he is talking about. And she also thinks how this guy understood that she wanted to see Pian, because he really did it by smell. The guy at this time claims that he thinks that this guy is now in the house of Count Hayard. So she'd better hurry, because not everything is well there. The main character wonders what "I'm fine" means and whether the guy is sick. Well, then she also understands that she shouldn't trust this guy's words. However, she still thinks that if it's true, it would be better to check, after which the main character thanks him and teleports away. The brunette realizes he forgot to mention the guy was drunk but thinks, oh well. When the girl teleports, she realizes that she has already used magic 3 times, and it is a little difficult. Well, then she finds a bottle of alcohol in the room and wonders what it is. Then she looks at the bed and sees a guy sleeping there. She realizes he has hair like silver threads, long eyelashes, and a thin chin. And also what catches her eye, and then the main character almost touches the guy's chest. But at the same moment, he takes off his cape and thinks that he needs to hide this beauty. Lyra realizes it was dangerous because the guy is so handsome for a reason. She also sees that there are no problems except that he's drunk. But then she also realizes she needs to hurry. She also claims that she will leave the ring there, and also a note on how to use it. After which, the girl realizes that everything is ready and it's time for her to leave. But as she's about to do so, someone grabs her arm. It turns out it's Pian. And the guy says he missed the ferry. The girl's heart practically jumps out of her chest. She also tells the guy to wait and suggests that he let her go first, but he replies that if he doesn't answer, she will go to the world of fairies. Lyra asks why he kept saying this, since he didn't believe it before, but the young man claims that he simply couldn't be honest. The lady is so beautiful, so it's obvious she's a fairy. The main character, confused, then asks if he's doing this on purpose. But then the guy asks her what she thinks, after which the young lady immediately leans back. And she also screams at him to wait. Lyra realizes she's managed to overcome herself and has done well. The young man wonders if this is a dream. The main character cries out that this is reality and tells him to let her go. Well, the guy immediately hugs the main character and claims that he missed her. And there wasn't a day when he didn't think about her. But he didn't even know her name, so he asks her to tell him. But the young lady insists that it is impossible. And then the young man smells something. He also wants to say something. But then he just hugs the girl and says nothing. The main character then tells him to listen. He reeks of alcohol, and the young man immediately pulls away. He apologizes and claims he never even thought he'd meet her, so he'll go wash up. Lyra then says that she was joking and apologizes because she didn't know that the guy would take everything seriously. Then the girl claims that now she can return and let Pion hold on. Paris is still sitting on the street at this time, and he is wondering if the girl was able to meet his brother. After which he sighs and thinks why he should worry about it at all. After all, he had even thought about putting him into eternal sleep before. That was when the dragon within him awakened. Then the guy was more than shocked, but at the same time happy, because he even began to suspect that this was some kind of optical illusion. But it was all real. So Paris wonders if it's because they're from the same family. And in the end, he acted completely differently than he planned. 5 hours before Pian's meeting with Lyra, the boy is sitting with his brother, drinking. Paris asks if he'll go to Hayard's house to receive the title, to which he replies that he still has doubts. But Paris wonders if it wouldn't be to his advantage. After all, he thinks it's a good offer. But Pion replies that he already said he was still thinking about it. He needs to go with his mother because they won't let him go alone. The Black Dragon then says that it will definitely be hard for her to be there. At this time, Pian turns to his brother and asks if he remembers the fairy, but the Black Dragon wonders if he got drunk and the guy started hallucinating. But Pian claims that he also saw her on the day when the dragon awakened in him. He said she had hair that matched the light of the stars or the moon, and violet eyes that were literally drowning in. Paris insists he never said that and thinks his brother is definitely drunk. After which he claims that he understood who the guy was talking about and that this girl was really pretty. Pian replies that she's not only beautiful, but also smart and kind, and even has magic powers. And most importantly, she smells. Paris, shocked, insists that he'll actually write those words on his grave. After which he asks who she is, to which Pian replies that he doesn't know. If only he knew her name. Paris then asks if he would have taken her. The young man, with tears in his eyes, insists that he could have said everything. Paris then goes into shock and screams that if his brother continues to drink in front of him, he will put him into eternal sleep. So let him go somewhere to Hayard's house. Pion then gets up and says that she will definitely come there, after which he teleports away and insists that he needs to go. Paris, meanwhile, is just thinking how stubborn he is. Now the brunette claims that he didn't think he would be his drinking buddy. But what interesting turns events take. Then someone else approaches the Black Dragon, and he wonders if he's already sober, after which everyone asks him why he's so wet. After this, Pion screams at the guy to shut up, and also asks why the fairy smelled like him. Paris replies that she came there because he told her where Pion was. But then he sees the ring on the guy's hand and is a little surprised. Then he asks what kind of ring it is. Pian claims the girl gave him the ring and that it's supposedly a magic stone that helps him dress. Paris insists that if he's right, this girl isn't bad. He then takes the ring out of his pocket. Pian asks why he also has this ring, and the Black Dragon answers that his brother should go to Bariana after all. The main character is with His Majesty at this time. She uses magic. When the man lets go of her hand, she claims it's good and compares it to the first time. So they'll leave it at that for today. He also asks how the girl's heart is feeling, and she replies that it's slowed down when it hurts. His Majesty claims that the condition has improved now, but it is still dangerous, and her magic is developing and growing. The young lady realizes that he has taken out this watch again, and she understands that it is somehow connected to her. But she still wonders what if Lyra knew, and she simply can't ask. Christopher asks her if she has any questions, to which the protagonist replies no, wondering when they'll finish the treatment. But the Emperor insists that, unfortunately, it's his whole life, and the girl asks why. He replies that even if he fixes his magic. So as long as other magic continues to creep in, nothing will be fixed. The main character then asks if the emperor has finally figured out what kind of magic it is. And he replies that there is something he didn't tell her, and the girl understands that he is still just as secretive, after which she asks what it is. The man claims that the magic currently affecting her is Lapratanos' magic, which surprises the girl and asks if he really cast the spell on her. However, the man replies that it wasn't him, and that's why it's strange. But it's absolutely certain that this magic is Pleiades, and the bracelet is proof. The man also claims to know someone who is good at unusual magic. At this time, the main character asks who it is, and he replies that the girl knows her, because it is her mother, Sienna. Helen stands before the painting at this point and realizes it's still there. But that's hardly surprising. She then turns to Empress Sienna and asserts that she's done everything possible, and that she also knows. A little while later, the main character writes something down and realizes that the situation needs to be resolved. Her heart aches because it is fighting the magic that was inflicted, and this magic is related to the magic of Pleiades. Only His Majesty can use such power, but it was not him, and there is one woman who can use special magic. It is her mother. And the main character wonders if this means she's to blame. Well, she still doesn't understand the reason. Lyra thinks that she didn't imagine that Christopher was lying, but still, she still doesn't believe it. In your memories, all three of them were happy, so the girl wonders why Lyra fell into eternal sleep. At this moment, she hears someone else knocking on the door and telling them to come in. Then the maid enters the room and informs the princess that a guest has arrived. The main character then asks who it is. But a little while later, she's already sitting across from Helen. The girl thinks about how uncomfortable she is, and how soon this pressure will plunge her into eternal sleep. When the lady with blonde hair finishes her cup of tea, she thanks him and says that she will go, and the main character wonders if she really just came to drink tea and if this is really a cafe. Lyra also asks Princess Helen if she had any business with her, to which the girl replies that she did not. And the main character says that this is how she thinks, what is wrong with her, and does she really have such a hobby of just coming? Helen, meanwhile, tells the girl not to misunderstand, as she was told to come to her. Lyra asks who did it, to which Helen replies that no one except one person could have told her such a thing, and that was Her Majesty Sienna. The main character wonders if she's doing this on purpose to keep her promise, or if perhaps this girl is simply not very sociable and doesn't know how to connect with people. Then the girl thinks, well, it doesn't matter, because this is her chance, and it needs to be said again. After which the lady tells Princess Helen that she will repeat herself and does not intend to compete with her. She returned there because her condition worsened and His Highness is helping her to heal. But the lady with the blonde hair asks if the girl wants to be believed. After all, it's enough to give it to her once, and there won't be a second chance. After which the girl leaves.